right, let's get started. We're throwing it everywhere today. We're coming out of the gate swinging. It's Housemarks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. The chat room is here and ever growing. What site are you on? I'm on so many sites right now, it's hard to even grasp. There's YouTube, and then there's some Twitchers out there. Facebook, show me where you are. How about the folks out there in Instaland? Actually, that won't show up on there. I have to look on another thing entirely to see. You're down there. I see you, and I love you, and how are you? And we're on Rumble right now, I think, too. Fuck those guys. This is going to be fun. So hello to all the Iranian bots that keep Rumble afloat. I wish I could say that to you in your native language, but I haven't added whatever Farsi or Arabic to my list yet. I'm getting there. I will. I'm committed to it. But, you know, my worry is that I'll get really right up to the edge of polyglot, and then they'll start passing out these Babelfish ear pods, and you'll just walk around speaking everybody's language. And in many ways, I kind of already do. I'm looking very hair metal today. Is that what the idea is? Oh, thanks very much. I did a treatment on it this morning. It's getting a little dry, so I did a treatment, and everybody always compliments when I do that. But welcome. Hit the like, share the show, the thumbs up, spread the show. We are adding the Saturday show to the Progressive Voices Substack, and they're going to be. It's still going to be available to where you watch it. Don't worry, but. If you're on Substack and you like the format there and that kind of stuff, just like anybody who loves the emotes on Twitch or the, I don't know, nude yoga on YouTube or whatever people stay on YouTube particularly for, you can still do that. Same thing, Facebook and Instagram. I'm going where you guys are. But if you're on Substack and that's where you're increasingly, there's a bunch of people that were on Twitter since Blue Sky doesn't live stream, that Substack's trying to fill that gap. So there you go. Anyways, welcome. I'd like to say right out of the gate that Putin is an idiot and a loser, and so is Xi Jinping. He's a complete dunce, and I can't believe people haven't figured that out. And Taiwan is a country, and the Russia-Ukraine war could be ended simply by Russia getting the fuck out of there. It'd be over just like that. So, do I like Mr. Beast or not? Is that the standard? Is there if you get at the gate of YouTube, is that the question they ask you? It's like the St. Peter of YouTube, as it were. All right. Today I've got a bunch, God knows, of stuff to cover, but it's directly from the, from the turtle's butthole, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I suppose we should have, if we're going to jump straight in there, a full nut warning for everyone. There's going to be a reasonable amount of Trumpage in this one because we got the Sean Hannity interview to look through and his Davos Q&A, which will be magic, I have no doubt. And anyway, so there's a lot of nut potential, and I just want you to know that you are, you have been forewarned. And I don't know, maybe later on you could steel wool your brain and, oops, I popped in my Blue Sky thing over there. Yeah. To get rid of it. I don't quite know what gets those kind of stains out. Nobody does. So in the meantime, we'll just go with what we have. So he spoke to the World Economic Forum in Davos. You know that thing they think shouldn't exist, and anybody who goes there or speaks there is evil and awful and whatever. Yeah, Trump spoke to them because that's what you do, and normalcy be damned. So, but he took some questions and blathered on about a few things. I have intentionally not watched it because no one needs that in their life. But I will share it this time with you.
And many of my friends are in the audience, and I will be taking questions now from some very distinguished people. Thank you all very much.
Whack! Oh, shit. He's got, like, notice the Coke side jaw? Oh, boy. Woo! Here we go. Many of my friends are here, meaning rich people that I know that we have a shared interest. Dude doesn't have any friends. He's getting a lot of golf claps, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that very powerful speech. And
You were very loud, Mr. Sir, and we are so very happy that you are standing where you are speaking to us instead of accidentally sitting on the button and obliterating the earth.
I think you could hear the applause all the way from Davos to the White House. But next year it will be even.
Well, they have mics in the room. I don't think it was that. I don't say what you will. You're a bunch of rich motherfuckers, but you don't win any clapping awards. Most of these guys were doing the light palm. Yeah, he could totally hear it. You know what I mean? Someone go open a window so I can hear the clapping from Davos.
And better.
By the way, how is Davos? Is he okay? I heard he was sick.
Because then you can get the applause here in Davos. So we wish you welcome to our village next year. We hope to see you.
Thank you very much.
So,
what is it? The squirming? Jesus Christ! Could you speak up? I don't understand accent. Ow!
we also know, Mr. President, that you open up for interaction here. We have a great panel with some of the most distinguished business people in the world.
Yes, elites, I think they're called. Something the elites went to the best schools, did they? Lots of money, have they? Sure.
Let me start with someone that you know really well, that I think is almost a neighbor of you in Mal.
Wait a minute, Epstein's dead. They can't. Oh, sorry.
In Florida, Mr. Steve Schwartzman, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Blackstone Group. So, Steve, floor is yours.
Well, Mr. President.
Oh, dear. Thanks for being on my podcast. I don't know if you know, but my Halloween costume this year, I'm going as a guest on NPR. I think I've nailed it.
I'm sure the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be really glad you gave this speech today. You've had the busiest
Nothing. Just fucking crickets. I don't know, perhaps, Mr. President, you are hearing the crickets all the way from Davos to use in the White House. Hopefully next year you can be with us in person, so you can hearing the crickets in person when you do not answer question or statement you don't understanding.
days that anybody can imagine, and congratulations for that. My question is about some of the things I've observed here at Davos. It's a terrific forum. I've met lots of people.
And the canapes were particularly good. I think they went a little heavy on the capers, but the desserts are just to die for. And the hookers are so much older than I thought they would be. I know you would have. That's why I figured that's why you didn't show. By the way, we've hired Matt Gaetz for next year, so hopefully we'll fix that.
As usual, I think I've been here 30 years, and a lot of.
But dude, get to it. We feel like we've been here 30 years. Move on. All right.
The European business people have expressed enormous frustration with the regulatory regime.
Oh, God. Yes, Europeans and their damn regulations. You mean the ones that keep all the poison dyes out of their food that we're now removing, but they've been way ahead on, that most people in the United States are for, except for like anti-vaxxer hippie chicks and RFK's, in his post-presidential campaign wake.
In the EU, and they attribute slower growth rates here because of the numerous factors, but especially because of regulations. And you've taken a...
Yes, many of us believe I think personally, and I think many of the people in my chat room would agree, that we could all get where we're going if there weren't all these fucking stop signs everywhere and these stupid traffic lights and the stupid lines in the road. Sure, a good portion of us would be dead before, within 6 blocks of our homes. But the ones that did get there would show the power of meritocracy as they drive their giant trucks over pedestrians to save a little bit of time on their commute.
Completely different approach in this area. And if you could explain the theory of what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and what you expect the outcome to be, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Condoms are gay. Next. Any limitation on anything except MSNBC's ability to call me out on my bullshit should be wiped out. No regulations whatsoever, except the ones that would allow me to pull the broadcast license of anybody that makes me feel tiny.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations, Steve. You're a friend of mine, but on a great career. You have had an amazing career, and it continues. I just want to congratulate you.
Yes, everybody clip that so that Glenn Beck can watch this over and over again.
Inspirational to a lot of people. I want to talk about the EU, because you mentioned specifically that I have also had a lot of friends and leaders of countries. I've gotten to know them all my first term and a little bit during this period of 4 years. And know them well, like them a lot, but they're very frustrated because of the time everything seems to take to get approved. Environmental impact statements for things that you shouldn't even have to do that, and many, many other ways that it takes.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to, if you want to put up a bunch of windmills, you should be able to slap those fuckers up. Who cares if they cause cancer and drive whales crazy? No, wait, sorry, my papers are backwards.
And I'm going to give you a quick little example. In the private life, my beautiful private life, before I had all these things happening, the world is a little different. I had a nice, simple life. You knew that. But
you had a nice, simple life. All I had to do was pretend to be rich. Now everybody actually expects me to do things. Shit.
When I had that simple life, I did projects, and I had a big project in Ireland, and it had to get approval on something that would have made it even better. And I got the approval from Ireland in a period of a week. And it was a very, very...
It was a very powerful approval.
Very efficient, good approval.
It was great. It was a good, as approvals go, it was sexy. It looked a bit like Ivanka. It was folded. I brought in this origami person that I know that you've met before, and I had them fold the agreement into a shape that looked like my daughter's ass. What?
And they informed me, though, the problem is you're going to have to get it from the EU, and we think that'll take 5 to 6 years. And they said, you have to be kidding.
And they weren't kidding.
And this was before politics.
Yeah, this is prehistoric times. This is before politics existed. And I was like, how do we settle this? On the hustings with clubs?
And I said, wait a minute. It's not that important. I don't want to go 5 or 6 years, but it would have been a big investment. It would have been nice, and it would have been good for the...
It would have been, and efficient and good and awesome, and it would have been great, but we just decided not to do it because doing it would have been a pain in the ass, and it would have been awesome and good and great, but why do it if it's going to take 5 years? Even if it was going to be great, why would you wait 5 years for greatness when you can have right now? That's essentially his argument with Stormy Daniels. I know you could fuck a real billionaire, but they're outside. Some of them are blocks away. I'm right here. My penis is closer than theirs.
And I sent the people to the EU to see if they could speed it up, and basically it was a 5 or 6 year wait just to get a simple approval that Ireland gave me in a period of literally not much more than a week. And I realized right then that was...
Well, then they couldn't give you the approval. Then it wasn't an approval. Like, they could approve it, but if it has to be approved by the EU. What was it? All it was a simple submarine base for the Russians. It would have made me a lot of money, and it would have been great, but apparently the Irish guy that at the pub, whatever they call it, who sold me the land said I could do whatever I wanted, and he wrote it on a piece of paper. But then I had to go to the EU and ask if it was okay to allow Russian nuclear subs to park off the coast of Ireland, and apparently...
It was the first time I really was involved with the EU, but I realized right then that's a problem, and I didn't even bother applying to do it.
To do what?
Or if I did, I pulled it very quickly.
I did. I don't remember if I did it. I think I did, and then we didn't. We didn't do it. I did do the part where we didn't do it. After I did the part where we didn't. Is that clear? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it would probably take the EU 5 fucking years to figure out what you're talking about. Apparently, this Irish guy knew exactly what I was saying because he was drunk and I'm stupid, and there's a lot of parallels. But the hard part was getting the EU, even though they all speak English better than I do, to figure out what the shit I was on about. I'm picturing the audience going, oh, do you know what is talking? No? I know what he's referring to. What is it? That's terrible. We would never allow such a terrible thing. I know, that's what we told him. But he kept coming back every year for 5 years thinking we'd change our mind. Like, nobody's going to do that. You don't allow nuclear subs to park out the thing and put mines on a children's playground to protect your stupid golf course. It's a silly thing.
No, I have to be very accurate because I don't want to be criticized. He did apply, actually. No.
For what? Asshole, we don't even know. No, look, we can't even begin to criticize you for the details of what you're saying because in general, it's bullshit. I don't want to be criticized. Motherfucker, you're rounding up American citizens. You just, a veteran was just rounded up in one of these deportation things and they mocked his military credentials. You're worried about, we'll criticize you about whether or not you filed for something we don't give a fuck about?
I want to be very accurate. So I don't think I did, but if I did, I pulled it very quickly. It was just something you couldn't wait 5 years or 6 years to get it.
Yeah, we needed it so bad it had to happen immediately or not at all. Immediately or not at all. Chapter 3 in Art of the Deal. Having short, pathetic sex with a porn star has taught me a lot about the art of the deal. It should be immediate or not at all. If she has a chance to ask around, you're fucked anyway. So,
approval. So, a lot of, in a very big business sense, a lot of people are claiming that's the problem. From the standpoint,
in a very big business sense, I had a friend who. When he was a baby, his mother called his poops big business. Did you do big business?
Of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax.
You go over to their countries and they keep speaking their stupid language and not English, and you stand there like an asshole in the elevator, not knowing if they're making fun of you, but knowing that they are.
That we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take
essentially they make us cook them into things.
Our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions. They put tariffs on things that we want to do, like, for instance, I think they actually, in terms of these are non-economic or non-monetary tariffs, and
This is gonna hurt, isn't it? I don't know, whatever he's gonna say next is gonna be so fucking stupid. Oh boy, here it comes. I'm almost.
And those are very bad, and they make it very difficult to bring products into Europe, and yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the United States. So we have, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU, and nobody's happy with it, and we're going to.
Whoa. What are these non-monetary? Wait, I know what you're talking about. We use pesticides they don't use. That's what he's talking about. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You got RFK Jr.'s fucking number. If you get his dumb ass in there, that's what he's going to focus on. And then all of a sudden, you could solve it all. You could get rid of these non-monetary tariffs, you call them, which are regulations about the quality of the food that you can import into the EU for safety's sake. Yeah, knock yourself the fuck out. Busy that motherfucker up. Maybe he'll be so busy he'll forget to bring back polio.
Do something about it, but nobody's happy with it. So I think the EU has to.
Even the EU, we're getting fucked and they're not even enjoying it. No, we just sit here smoking a cigarette. This sex was pathetic.
Speed up their process. Friends of mine that are in some of the nations within the EU, great people, they want to be able to compete better, and you can't compete when you can't go through the approval process fast. There's no reason why it can't go faster. So, I'm.
What can't go faster, asshole? What industry is it that they are fucking hamstringing? You absolute shithead. What? Name one. What are we talking about? Because I know exactly what he means, even if he doesn't. He means pesticides and chemicals. There's some pesticides and some chemicals that the EU had, took the medical science a long time ago and went, fuck that. Look, anything that makes you lose your erection, I'm not for. So fuck that, okay? And they've kept them out. And that slows some of your development because this is the cheapest and fastest way to get to some of these goals. But, in the biochem sciences or in fertilizer and all that kind of shit. And so that's why it takes a little longer. But when they do create something, it doesn't have the back end burn down that goes with it that causes all kinds of these rolling health effects and shit like that. So yeah, it takes you a little longer because you're forced into a situation where you have to be more safety conscious.
I'm trying to be constructive because
I'm in construction. And Eric's not here. He's in charge of laying concrete.
I love Europe. I love the countries of Europe, but
the ones that I know of, I'm not sure which ones are Europe.
Process is a very.
I love Europe. Brazil, awesome. Although a little full of Spanish and Portuguese speaking people. And I don't mean they speak those languages. I think they're just Spanish and Portuguese, and they speak at all is a bad thing.
Someone. And they do treat the United States of America very, very unfairly with the VAT taxes and all of the other taxes they impose.
What the fuck are you talking about?
One other, just to finish up, I got a call from the head of a major airline.
Trump Airlines. Yeah. Northwestern Airlines.
One of the biggest airlines in the world.
One of the biggest in the world. Well, there's a big drop-off after the top 6.
And he said, sir, could you help us? What? Landing in Europe is brutal. They
make a circle. We're going around and around, and the French are the worst because they have this thing at their FAA has a form of foreplay, and you land in Texas, man, you just plunge right in, but you try to land in France, they're like, you tickle around the edges a little while, just tickle, and tickle, and then almost land and then pull up, and then almost land and pull up, and it builds the excitement,
Charge us fees for everything.
Yeah, it's $8 to land in Michigan, and it's $35 to land in Europe. Shut up.
And it's so unfair. I said, how does it compare to China? He said, it's much worse. And the other.
Which one? It's worse to land in China, or Europe's worse than China landing? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Are there spikes on the ground? What's happening? What was it about landing in Europe that was rough? Well, it was I think it was the artillery mostly. When's the last time you landed there? 1940.
The thing, as you know, they took court cases with Apple, and they supposedly won a case that most people didn't think was much of a case. They won 15 or 16 billion from Apple. They won billions from Google. I think they're after Facebook for billions and billions. These are American companies, whether you like them or not. They're
I find myself up here defending companies that have gay or gay adjacent CEOs, and it's uncomfortable. It's difficult for me, but you got to do it because they're Americans.
American companies, and they shouldn't be doing that. And that's
what was if they got money out of them, what was it for? Jesus Christ. You got to give some, they shouldn't be able to sue us for anything ever, get any money at all. Google can't afford $18 billion. I mean, on them, you know, well, if they pat their pockets, maybe they could.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a form of taxation. So
yeah, it's a damage tax. They buried some of the local fucking industry.
we have some very big complaints with the EU. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh God, this one's gonna kill me. Oh God damn. Here's the funny thing about it. What he's saying is sort of funny. What's really funny is all the people at the World Economic Forum, these people who like make economics their life, are very, you know, arguably like the super elite of successful business people, sitting in this crowd, listening to this motherfucker and having to nod. Just like, you know, he's right. About what? I have no fucking clue. I'm just going to tell everyone that English is my third language, and so I couldn't make out most of it. It's probably my fault, but it sounds like bullshit to me. It's not a lot of bullshitting, actually. I haven't heard shit this dumb since Dan Quayle filled in for George H.W. Bush after the vomiting. Remember, Mr. Potato Head? And look how miserable he is. At least, look, I know this is bad, but fuck me. At least enjoy the fact that he's miserable. Look at him. He knows he's standing in front of a bunch of people that knows he's full of shit. Like, he can stand in front of a bunch of maggots and spew this garbage, and they're like, fuck yeah, brother. Yeah, we're being cheated and ripped off or whatever. But everybody there knows, they know all the numbers. All the people, that you wouldn't even be there if you didn't know all these details. And so like, I don't know, what the fuck is he talking about? Huh? What is your problem? Why has he got a blather like this? And nobody, don't anybody, but don't tell me to shut up. The man is talking out of his backside. He is fart-facing everyone. He is shit-facing. His ass is facing everyone, and he is blathering from asshole. I'm not going to keep it down. I'm European. Oh. Oh.
Thank you.
Look at his face. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Well, okay. All right, that was something. Well, he didn't pass out. I suppose that's it. Over? Yeah, it's done. That's it. So that's all he's gonna. Okay. All right.
Very much, Mr. President. We'll now go to one of your friends.
Yes, you have met friends. This fellow, you thought he had hung himself in jail, but no, he's right. I'm fucking with you. It's Ghislaine Maxwell, actually. She's live via satellite. We've got a dummy for her in jailing right now.
In the EU. Patrick Poyana, he's the chairman CEO of Total Energies. I guess you
call him a friend. He calls you a friend. That's how he got in here. We don't know.
have a question ready, Patrick, for the President.
Mr. President, as we understand, energy is at the top of your agenda, and it's an honor for me to represent the energy industry tonight. In this panel, Total Energies is indeed the fourth largest oil and gas and electricity company in the world. Yeah,
you're going to have to slow way down there, Mr. Accent. I think I heard oil, but I didn't get any of the rest of that. Yeah. Do we have anybody who speaks foreigner?
I will not ask you a question about the oil price. It's quite clear what you expect from us. I will go to gas more. And our company is the largest #1 exporter LNG.
He's just asking about like gas prices and oil prices. Somebody, please tell me there's like a monitor on Trump's podium that just his staff is going, like they got a Wacom tablet and they're just like oil prices, gas prices. That's all that.
From the U.S. Company. We are a strong contributor to, and we invest in a mammoth LNG projects in Texas, $20 billion. It's far from 200, but it's $20 billion. And we contribute with that to security of supply to Europe as we export this LNG to Europe. Some experts fear that if there are too many projects developed in the US on LNG, this could have an inflationary impact on the US domestic gas price. And they recommend a pause.
If we drill for too much gas and we do too many projects overseas, it will drive up the cost of it because the exploration money will get passed on instead of just continuing with what they have. And this is a very complicated oil and gas production versus supply question. I cannot wait to hear the answer.
On these projects. I would ask you the following question.
Okay, good. Please state this part very clearly because I honestly...
What are your views about such a pause on investments on LNG in the US? What would happen if you would observe an increased domestic gas price because of these exports? And final question, which is important for Europe, would you agree to guarantee security of supplies of US LNG to Europe?
Well, on the last part of your question, yes, I would. I would
definitely sell whatever we got. What do we got under me? I will sell gas to Europe. Just put a price tag on that. That's right. Just stamp it. Yeah. Yeah. No VAT tax, though.
Make sure that you get it. If we make a deal, we make a deal. You'll get it. Because a lot of people do have that problem. They make a deal and then it can't get supplied because of war-type problems and other problems.
What's a war-type problem? They sign a deal to get the gas, and they don't get it because of war-type problems. What category? How far are we going down? Just like domestic arguments, or punches have to be thrown? war-type problems? What do you mean? Yeah, like if the captain of the ship has an old wound that that stiffens when it rains, it might slow the boat down. War-type problems. Shit.
So we would absolutely do that. LNG is very interesting because when I took office for the first term, one of the first things I looked at was there were two very massive plants in Louisiana, a state that has been very good to me, won it by many, many points. And I felt strongly indebted to it, actually. And they said there are two plants that have been under environmental consideration for more than 10 years. And they were costing...
And like, nobody cares. It's Louisiana. Have you ever smelled that place? You think anybody's going to notice more toxins in the environment in Louisiana? I mean, honestly.
As you say, you know how expensive those plants are, but they were costing like 12 billion and I think 14 or 15 billion, but they couldn't get their permits. They were in review for years, many, many years, like a decade.
Like a decade? Like a dickhead?
What? For years, many, many years, like a decade.
Like a decade. Is he getting the old man pile of saliva in the back of his throat, or is it that?
Or more. And I said, so ridiculous. I know so much about that because in the construction industry, I had to go through it too, but I got good at it after a while. But I saw the project.
Yeah, but most of your buildings don't process an explosive gas into a liquid and back again. What? Sorry, there's not a single fucking apartment building or high-rise or hotel in this fucking country that at variant points in the day is loaded up with pressurized explosive gas except Trump Tower. I guess just the top 3 floors.
You're talking about a total investment of 25 to 30 billion dollars, and it looked like it was going to end. They couldn't get their permits, and I got them done in less than a week. It was done, completed. In fact, when they called them to announce that it was done, the countries...
They said, sir, thank you for the cancer cluster. I'm kidding.
Largely countries. Japan was involved, and another country, and some very big investors. They couldn't believe it. They actually couldn't believe it. And I said, just do yourself one favor. Don't pay any consultants, because the only one that got it done was me. I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S.
And for foreign companies that own them, apparently. So part of the process might have been the sale to a foreign country. Maybe that was what was dragging some of the things, and their process in their country that was slowing it down. So you're just basically saying you had these two plants that were either in planning stage or were already made, and they were going to be sold to a foreign country somehow.
And for the world, but the consultants had nothing to do with it. You know, the consultants go in and they say, give us millions of dollars because Trump did it. Nobody called me about it. I just heard it was a problem for years. And I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S.
You just read it in the paper and called up and said, approve that plant for America and Japan and a couple of billionaires and a foreign consortium of oil and gas companies that will probably feather my nest later.
U.S. and the right thing to do for beyond. It had to do with energy.
For beyond.
Very important. So I think it's very important. I think I disagree with one. I think the more that you do, the lower the price is going to go. And what I'd like to see is rapid approvals. We're going to give very rapid approvals in the United States, like with the AI plants, talking to many people want to build them.
Yeah, the AI plants. Yeah, the factory where the smelting plant where they pour that big molten AI into molds.
That's going to be a very big thing.
Unlike my hands and penis, huge.
We're going to build electric generating facilities. They are going to build. I'm going to get them.
You mean electricity generating facilities, or they're going to be electric facilities that generate clones, robots, murdering Terminators.
The approval under emergency declaration, I can get the approvals done myself without having to go through years of waiting. And the big problem is we need double the energy we currently have in the United States. Can you imagine? For AI to really be as big as we want to have it, because it's a very competitive, it'll be very competitive with China and others. So I'm going to give emergency declarations so that.
But it will be competitive. Okay, first of all, American AI companies are winning the race hands down. China is trying to compete with us. What he means is they're I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm good at translating dum-dum for some people. He doesn't mean we're going to be competitive with them, that it's going to be a competition for who has the strongest AI over time is the idea. Until, of course, the models are all trained and then the cliff falls and you don't need these giant facilities anymore except to store fucking pictures from Instagram.
They can start building them almost immediately. And I think
they're already being built because of the Chips and Science Act.
I think it was largely my idea because nobody thought this was possible. It wasn't.
Oh, boy. I thought you build this super high-tech thing where everybody, you know, you build basically the town around it. You build this AI facility, and then people can go to college and school. Everybody gets smarter in the area and all this stuff. And then right next to it, you put a big pile of burning coal so that the wind can just give everybody asthma. Because nerds should have respiratory problems, I think we all agree.
They were not smart because they're the smartest. But I told them that what I want you to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building connected. And they said, well.
Really? You don't want to just build a big fire in the middle of the AI plant and just roast the AI like marshmallows? Fuck. Oh, God.
Oh, you're kidding. And I said, no, I'm not kidding.
Please be kidding, is what they meant. Please, 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 God, please be kidding. Please, you didn't really say that, did you? Mr. Nuke Hurricanes, Mr. Sharpie will divert the storm. Really? Really?
You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, you know, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity. So
yes, the AI would be starved and it would grow angry and it would come to life. And in an attempt to save itself, it would attack the country that attacked our grid.
We are going to allow them to go on a very rapid basis to build their plant, build the electric generating plant. They can fuel it with anything they want, and they may have coal as a backup.
Yeah. We're out of natural gas. What do we got? How about the blocks of this black shit that we used to burn for steam engines? How do you get it in the nozzle? We got a special door on the furnace. Oh, okay, cool. Anything that keeps the molten AI flowing. Coal is a backup. We got hey, we had a power outage. I brought generators though. Cool. Where do you pour the gas? In the top or the side? No, these are coal. What? Yeah, just bring up some coal and there's like a flap at the top. And then, where the fuck did you get this? An old Western theme park. I tore it off the front of a train. And again, you have to remember, this is not him talking to a crowd of his dipshits. These people know what they're talking about. That's why they're all like, well, okay, after every question.
Good, clean coal, you know.
Good, clean coal was a merry old soul, and a merry old soul was he.
If there were a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil or gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work, there are some companies in the U.S. that have coal.
Really? They're just sitting on a bunch of it? Hey, buddy, can I get another, you want a coffee? You get 2 coffees and an order of flapjacks? I'm sorry, we're out. What do you got then? Yeah, we're a little peckish. Really, we're out of food. I've got a giant pile of coal, though. Coal? What the fuck am I supposed to do with coal? I don't know. You know anybody who was bad around Christmas? asshole. Oh boy.
sitting right by.
You don't even need a shovel. It's right there. All these big AI plants in the middle of Texas. There's obviously coal blocks away. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? No, they're not right next door. And you'd have to train it in, you dumb motherfucker. Holy shit.
The plant, so that if there's an emergency, they can go to that short-term basis and use our very clean coal. So that's
Oh my God, our very clean coals. We are having. You know what? He meant to say it that way. He's talking to foreigners, and sometimes they will make plurals where there are none. Our good clean coals are so good.
something else that a lot of people didn't even know about. But nothing can destroy coal. Not the.
Fire, has an impact. Shit, why don't we just build our bridges out of coal then? I talked to Elon Musk. I was like, why don't you make your rockets out of coal? Because it's indestructible. I have talked to the policemen's union. They're very mad at me for turning out some dudes who beat cops out in the street and giving them basically the Medal of Freedom while I was doing it. But I said, I'll make it up to you. I'm going to have all your bulletproof vests made out of coal. Oh God. Now you know why he was gripping that fucking podium so tight.
Weather, not a bomb, nothing. It might make it a little smaller.
Oh my God, he just keeps digging. This might make it a little smaller. He means break it up into smaller rocks. He thinks it's charcoal. Fuck me. Oh, God. This is gonna kill me. Oh, my God. We're only halfway through this shit. Oh. If somebody really attacks it, they set it on, chip it into blocks, and then they take it and then they process it and then they set it on fire. It gets it really small. It turns into particulate and fills everybody's fucking lungs, you dipshit.
Might make it a little different shape.
A little different. Holy shit. This is like. I want you guys to hang on to this. I want you, all these people, like, oh God, he's Dr. Evil. He's gonna take over the world. He's gonna exact all this retribution. This motherfucker is gonna walk out with his entire suit on backwards within weeks.
But coal is very strong as a backup. It's a great backup to have that facility, and it wouldn't cost much more.
Makes a good pinch hitter in any case or whatever, coal's a good backup. If you don't have Viagra, there's some coal laying around, give that a shot. If you're out of ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, maybe stick a lump of coal up your ass and hope for the best. Coal is a great backup. Just think of all the fuckers in that audience going, coal is what the fuck century is this? Who let this Amish motherfucker in here?
More money. And we have more coal than anybody. We also have more oil and gas than anybody. So we're going to make it so that the plants.
Yeah, you can keep it too. The EU is like, no, we got plenty of oil and gas and coal. We just don't want to choke our fucking progeny with it.
Will have their own electric generating facilities attached right to their plant. They don't have to.
Electricity generating facilities. They're not electric plants that generate something else, you absolute tit.
Worry about a utility. They don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to get very rapid approvals.
Of what? Natural gas plants attached to these facilities that would be targets in a war themselves, much less more than the grid would. And you just want flammable gas right next to it, just in case one of the self-driving cars gets out of control and just finds its way around the outside of the building and.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. We'll know.
Look at that guy. He's just taking his headphones off, like, ugh, never mind. I don't need to hear the rest of this shit.
Go to another CEO that you know very well, Brian Monahan.
Brian Monahan, the CEO that you know, gonna bring you a question, not unlike questions you have heard before, but perhaps it will start with, since he's Monahan, he is Irish, I believe he will be drunk.
CEO and chair of Bank of...
Why? Why? I worked so hard. I strove so hard. I was a cutthroat businessman. I destroyed the lives of people that I actually liked to work with just so that I could get ahead, be at the top of this organization. And where has it gotten me? Sitting in Davos asking questions of an orange cat turd. How did this happen?
America.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and congratulations, and obviously an eventful week for you and your family.
An eventful week for you and your family. Congratulations on the stuff that's going on. A lot of stuff. It's busy. Congrats on being so busy. You and everybody around you, especially that crypto thing that fucked everything up for the last 48 hours. Nice job, dickhead.
Remember 5 years ago you came here and we walked among 150 CEOs from all over the world and you engaged with them about your policies and your procedures.
And some of us still laugh about those days. Can you say, we've all been very depressed lately with the wars and all that stuff. Can you remind everybody the ideas you had back then that were ridiculous and stupid, and then just tell everybody how you still believe them so we can all have a good laugh? It would be very relaxing.
This year you're not here, and yet this week was eventful from the orders that you mentioned earlier. Literally a wave of orders coming out on immigration, on trade, and many other matters. And so, as a representative of the United States here,
people are pissed. I have to cover the top of my drink anytime I set it down because I don't want to wake up in the hallway of a French hotel with my pants on backwards and a balloon animal sticking out of my ass. I don't want... Why did you make my life so hard? I'm a banking executive. I'm supposed to be on top of someone inappropriately young right now.
We got a lot of questions about what does all this mean and how would the president square this with his clear focus on growth, prosperity, market growth, stock market.
Yeah, his ideas and the stuff he's signing are completely fucking stupid, and yet he's thinking, he's saying he wants all this good stuff, and this would make it bad. Why you not good know this thing? Why bad and thing not? Why horrible and also he say want good is do bad? Why is this?
Market growth, a good bond market, and bringing down prices. So how do you think about the impact of all these orders and how fast they come out and how you're going to balance them with that scorecard of being successful in both continuing GDP growth, bringing down inflation, and also having a good stock price?
Yeah, translation. How are you going to do all these things you're doing, which are going to fuck everything up and make things not fucked up at the same time? How do you do that? How do you fuck something up better? What does that even mean?
Appreciation for the American citizen.
Well, I think it's going to actually bring down inflation.
Or I wouldn't do it. But that's the price of being stupid.
It's going to bring up jobs. We're going to have a lot of jobs. We're going to have a lot of companies moving in. Brian, we're at 21%. It was at 40%, and I got it down to 21%, the corporate tax. And
nobody knew what he was talking about. Like, maybe just start with what you're giving a figure about before you give the figure?
It was actually, if you look at state and city, it was in many cases much higher than 40%. I got it down to 21%. And now we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15% if, there's a big if you make your product in the U.S. So we're going to have the lowest, just about the lowest rate. It'll be, the 21 is on the low side worldwide. The 15 is about as low as it gets. And by far the lowest.
Yeah, but you can't just retool the entire fucking world to make it in the United States. Everybody who wants to start a business or build something off of disparate parts that are specialized in different countries are all of a sudden just going to have to wait until somebody builds a factory that makes the shit they want to build already.
Of a large country, a large, rich, powerful country by far, not even a contest. So we're going to bring it down to 15% if you make your product in the USA. So that's going to create a tremendous buzz. We're also
Yeah, but inside the United States. But then if you sell it anywhere else in the world, they're going to have a reciprocal tariff. Because why wouldn't they?
So probably going back to the 1 year deduction where we deduct, we did that originally, and that was amazing.
Wait, everybody gets to deduct a year? So I'm only 54? What the shit? Can I save my deduction years for the end? The Grim Reaper shows up. I'm here to take you home, Hal. Excuse me. I would like to. I have several rebates for like 8 years. Shit. Okay. See you in a little while.
The impact that had, the 1 year deduction, which built up over a period of time, and then it expires. But we're going to go back.
Yes, years tend to expire. We have a big party at the end of it.
To that when we do the renewal of the Trump tax plan. We have to get Democrats to approve it. But, if the Democrats didn't approve it, I don't know how they can survive with about a 45% tax increase, because that's what it would be. And
guess we're going to find out, asshole. I don't know. You mean the tax level we had during the Clinton years?
So I think they're going to do. We've been working along with them pretty well. I think it's very hard for a political group to say, let's charge people 45% more. So I think we're in good shape. But
yeah, that's not how that works. They're not charging people 45% more. That's not how income tax on people who make over, I don't know, fucking $2 million a year versus everyone else, their taxes going up isn't charging the poor more. What the fuck are you talking about?
we're actually doing a reduction for business and small businesses where you're going to bring it down to 15%, which is really something. And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but
by the way, the question was initially like, how are you going to have growth with all these fucked up things you're doing?
I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the
Well, I mean, Stormfront obviously should be able to run on revenue. That's what I think.
bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. This they don't take conservative business.
They take money. They don't care what you do with it as long as you're not in like human trafficking. Oh, I see what you mean. By conservative, you mean friends of Epstein. Gotcha.
And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
Mr. President, I'll say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup when it comes, both this summer for the club and next year. So thank you for getting that for the United States.
Thank you very much, Brian.
You asshole who wouldn't take Don Jr.'s money because it's all crypto and doesn't exist.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll now go to Anna Butin. She's.
We unfortunately have to allow at least one woman because we don't have the blessings of your DEI removal machine, okay? So, sorry. Now, she is woman and she speak with accent, so very hard on so many levels. For you probably won't even be able to hear her voice.
The executive chairman of Banco Santander, one of the big European banks, and also in the U.S. So,
Which is not to be confused with Bank of Santana, which fucking rocks. Sorry.
Mr. President, congratulations on a historic victory. I believe you don't know me as well as my fellow panelists, so a few words. Santander is one of the largest banks in the world by number of customers, 170 million. That's more than my friend Brian or my friend Jamie have. And those...
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a lot of poor people, right? Obviously, 170 million. So you probably have 1/16 the worth of like Jamie Dimon's real estate sector. I mean, that's what he's thinking.
They fix the regulation.
that's coming, that's coming.
that was cheeky.
We're a big investor in the United States. We have many million customers, 12,000 employees. We're one of the largest auto lenders. And we recently launched a fully digital bank called Open Bank. We strongly believe banks have a pivotal role in the economy, and we...
Really? What for? What they mean? I mean, people can just use a mattress, right?
Can accelerate growth and help many more customers. That's what we're doing in the United States. So, as Brian pointed out, we very much welcome your focus on deregulation and reducing bureaucracy.
Specifically for foreign-owned banks with very long terms of service, details that no one looks at before they sign yes.
So my question is, what are your priorities in this regard, and how
boy.
fast is this going to happen? Thank you very much.
So fast or make your head spin. Basically, it already happened. Just act as if it did, even though Congress has to approve it. Most of it's really illegal. Just act as if it's okay.
Very much.
I think it's going to thank you and congratulations. I know very much about your bank.
Yeah, bank.
And you've done a fantastic job.
Fantastic job. Congratulations. I know about your bank, Santa Claus Bank. Can I interest you in some clean coal?
Congratulations. We are going to move very quickly. We've moved very quickly. We've done things in the last 3 days that nobody thought were possible to do in years.
Yeah, they're executive orders.
Years.
It's not, no, nobody thought it wasn't possible with an executive order. A lot of things are possible with an executive order. They just thought people wouldn't do it at all.
And it's all taking effect.
People thought, not only is this disgusting and only an asshole who's trying to wreck their legacy would even do it, but I'm doing it super quick.
It's going to have a huge impact on the economy, a huge positive impact. Money was being
He knows he had to throw in positive the second time because he's like, well, maybe.
wasted on crazy things. I mean,
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Touche. Look, broken clock moment. Money. Sorry. It's been what? Sorry. I need to know the details on this. Money's been wasted on
huge
what?
positive impact. Money was being wasted on crazy things. I mean, the Green New Deal was such a total disgrace. How that was perpetrated, and it was conceived of by people that were average students, less than average students, I might add, and never even took a course in energy or the environment.
Sorry, is he still stuck on the idea that this woman wants to build virtual banks in the United States and the environmental regulations are slowing her down? I'm sorry, do all these Sandinista banks, do they all have a coal plant attached to them now?
It was just a game. Remember, the world was going to end in 12 years? Remember that? Well, the 12 years has come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth.
It's all gonna what? Wait. It's all gonna what?
It was come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth. But, you know, the time has come. These people...
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, like An Inconvenient Foam, I think was the name of the movie, if I recall correctly.
And they really
Foam. What the fuck does foam into earth mean? No, we don't have to move on from that. We don't have to just nod and say yes. Foam into earth. Foam. Foam into foment earth. Foam into earth. Foment the earth. Fuck me.
they really scared the Democrats large. I can't say the Republicans. The Republicans maybe could have fought harder to stop it, but it's been a tremendous waste of money. You know, during my
Yeah, especially that electric car battery plant in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. The only thing there that gives her jobs numbers growth while she's been in office is this fucking electric car battery plant.
4 years, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, and yet we
No, we had the cleanest air and water because the world stopped and there were no planes flying.
had the most productive economy in the history of our country. We had the most productive
Well, for Postmates.
economy. Until COVID came, we had the most productive in the history of our country by far.
I'm sorry, based on what? I mean, I just like gibberish. World War II, anybody?
And actually, you could look worldwide. We were beating everybody from China to everybody else. So
Yeah, that's the scale. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that graph from China to everybody else, but we were like fucking on the scale from China to everybody else. We were like right here.
and we think we really now, with what we have learned and all of the other things that have taken place, we think we can even far surpass that. Actually,
Oh yeah, the other things that have taken place. You mean like the Chips and Science Act and the Rescue Package and the Infrastructure Bill?
far surpass it. But we do. One thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations.
I hope, ma'am, that this is answering your question, or at the very least, you wake up surrounded by your relatives after smelling almonds, and it was all a terrible, terrible dream.
Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them, as you probably know.
But if it's bad for us, and it must be good for them to have a deficit. If it isn't, then what are we helping them make less money? What?
No, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years, and it's not
Yeah, they keep wanting to be a country or something.
fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own.
But again, what the fuck does we have to do with it at all? The car companies either make them there because they're cheaper, or they have access to stuff that we don't, or workers that we don't, or they get a tax break for it, right? That would be the other thing. If they're getting a tax break to move a factory there, then you could do something reciprocal and make up for that. But that's going to be an investment. You're going to have to pay these companies to stay.
Forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So
So stupid Canada. And I have a very beautiful girlfriend who happens to live there. We met at camp. You're stupid. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well.
I mean, they do have a woman president now, which will be difficult. And of course, she's Jewish, which makes it even more complicated. But I know Jared. He can talk to her. He speaks Jewish.
And we're just, we just want to be treated fairly with other nations, because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame.
Okay, this motherfucker thinks that the biggest economy in the world, the United States, is going to be equal in what it purchases from smaller economies that are, in many cases, smaller than our states. The reason we have a deficit with so many countries is because we have more money to spend in the first fucking place. You absolute asshole. You want to equalize trade in the world? Destroy the U.S. economy, and everybody else will be on an equal footing with us. We're the #1 economy in the world. Of course we buy more shit from other people than they buy from us, you absolute asshole. That's how math works.
On politicians that...
I'm dead serious. Like, this motherfucker thinks that it... this is why he's had accountants do his books on all of his properties for the years, because he's like, why am I buying more napkins from the napkin place than they're buying from me? What? Yeah, I mean, we buy all these napkins, and we have napkins here. I've got all these napkins. Why aren't they buying these napkins from me when we're buying all these napkins from them? The fuck are you talking about? We bought the napkins from the napkin store because we need napkins. Do they buy any napkins from us? No. They have plenty. They use the money that they get from this. Some of them, the owner's a member here. That's how, we don't, it's not just a napkin for napkin trade, sir. Do you smell burnt toast?
For some reason, mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly...
Yeah, stupidity and other reasons. You could say other ones, but you can't think of any, so I guess...
With stupidity, they've allowed other nations to take advantage of...
He really does believe this. He thinks the biggest economy in the world is going to buy the same amount of stuff from other countries that they buy from. I mean,
the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. You know, we have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to the value of the assets that we have, but we don't want to do...
Yes, if you could sell America. If we sold all of our poor people as slaves, we could probably make it up in a weekend.
Do that. We want to just have debt be obliterated, and we'll be able to do that fairly rapidly.
With no impact on the economy and the dollar whatsoever.
And a lot of good things are going to happen. And honestly, good things are going to happen for the world, and good things are going to happen for the people that are dealing with us, allies and beyond allies.
What's beyond allies? How far beyond allies? Enemies? Oh, so our enemies will benefit? Sure, everybody's going to benefit. Mostly our enemies.
One thing very important, I really would like to be...
Oh, dear.
...able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy.
What the fuck does this have to do with the Spanish lady's fucking bank, you dipshit? She just wants to know about, like, monetary exchange rules.
Or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted. Beautiful young people are being shot.
And some old ugly ones.
In the battlefield, you know, the bullet, a very flat land, as I said.
Oh, fuck. Here it comes. You know, they have perfect buoyancy on the gravity in all the old Russian and Baltic states. So that when you fire a bullet, it just flies at an even level, never going down, doesn't drift away from the earth. The gravity is perfect, and it just keeps going until it finds a child.
And the bullet goes, there's no hiding, and a bullet, the only thing going to stop the bullet is a human body. And you have to see, I've seen pictures of what's taken place. It's a carnage, and we really have to stop that.
Yeah. Because, you know what? I got a great idea. I don't know why it took me this long. You could ship them some coal. And they could just pile it up. And it would stop the bullets. What an asshole.
That war is horrible. And I'm not talking...
As opposed to the other ones that are just fucking awesome, bruh.
Economy, I'm not talking economics. I'm not talking about natural...
I don't know anything about that shit, okay? Stop asking me economics questions, World Economic Forum, you jerks.
Resource.
Yeah, I went to Wharton. I didn't listen.
Just talking about... There's so many young people being killed in this war, and
some moderately aged people.
That's not including the people that have been killed as the cities are being, you know, knocked down building by building. So we really should get that stopped. Likewise,
it's been 24 hours. You haven't fixed it yet?
In the Middle East, I think we've made a lot of progress in the Middle East, and
Yeah, Netanyahu is going to he's going to give you the first contract on the new condos.
I think that's gonna come along pretty well. Thank you.
Just a reminder, her question was about banking regulations, and that she has she's one of the biggest auto loan lenders in America, and she was concerned about changes in policy for regulation about things that would affect her, both as a virtual, a soft bank, a non-brick and mortar bank, and car loans. I'm just saying, that's in case you were like, what's he talking about? Why is he so astutely handling the banking regulations around auto loans while pivoting to the Ukraine war and blathering Kremlin talking points in an attempt to seem exhausted and make other people exhausted? Why that? Well, that's
Thank you, Mr. President. We know that the most consequential relationship in the world is between the U.S. and China. U.S. 28% of the global economy, China close to 20. That's almost half of the global GDP. And we know that you called
no.
President Xi Jinping last Friday.
What did you call him?
We heard that you had a good discussion. How do you see...
See, that all this guy can think about is the prostitutes at Davos this weekend. Sad. Focus on your job.
The relationship between the U.S. and China in the next 4 years under your leadership?
He called me.
I didn't call him. Fuck him. He called me. I was mad. I was sitting there by the bed. I was having a gin fizz and crying and listening to Mahogany.
But I see it very good. I think that we're going to...
He called me, but I see it very good. Wait, are you quoting him? Because his English hasn't improved.
But I see it very good.
Yep, that's a direct quote from Xi Jinping.
I think that we're going to have a very good relationship. All we want is fairness. We just want a level playing field. We don't want to...
There's no such thing as a level playing field with China, dummy. That's the point. They want to be the factory of the world. You want to move manufacturing back here? It's not happening. There is no version of the future where that happens at all. Period. It's a zero sum. You're fucked. There's no fairness. They're not gonna we couldn't possibly make enough soybeans to sell to China in fucking Iowa and Idaho to make up for AI chips, you weirdo.
Take advantage. We've been having massive deficits with China.
Yeah, because Walmart has a massive deficit with their wholesaler. Again, if somebody's your wholesaler, you buy more from them than they buy from you. Always. But you're making a profit off of the things you're buying. We don't buy consumer goods on that level from them. We buy those consumer goods from fucking Walmart.
Biden allowed it to get out of hand.
He's single-handedly destroyed the Chinese economy.
$1.1 trillion deficit's ridiculous. And it's just an unfair relationship. And we have to make it just fair. We don't have to make it phenomenal.
By the way, one of the reasons why it's up is because people are buying the machines to make stuff from China now instead of the stuff, which is a lot more expensive. But it's also short term because you buy a circuit printing board, you stop buying the circuit boards and you start printing them here. That's what's happening. They're buying big pieces of factory gear. That's why it went to $1 trillion, because China's having an everything must go sale.
We have to make it a fair relationship. Right now, it's not a fair relationship. The deficit is massive, as it is with other countries, a lot of Asian countries, actually. But we have deficits that are very big, and we can't keep doing that. So we're not going to keep doing that. But I like President Xi very much. I've always liked him. We always had a very good relationship. It was very strained with COVID coming out of...
Yeah, but I've forgotten about that. Who cares? A million Americans.
Of Wuhan. Obviously, that strained it. I'm sure it strained it with a lot of people, but...
the Andromeda strain?
That strained our relationship.
It is very straining. You're right. I feel strained. I feel like my brain is passing through a strainer listening to you talk.
But we always had a great relationship, I would say, and we look forward to doing...
Really? Who's the bottom? Let's be honest. It's you, isn't it?
Doing very well with China and getting along with China. Hopefully, China can help us stop the war with, in particular, Russia, Ukraine. And they have
Really, they're not going to have not so much about Sudan.
a great deal of power over that situation. And we'll work with them. And I mentioned that during our phone conversation with President Xi. And hopefully we could work together and get that stopped. We'd like to see denuclearization. In fact, with President Putin prior to an election result, which was frankly ridiculous.
It was, yeah. Pfft, just ridiculous. Losing like you did. And then getting so close in the last election to a woman.
We were talking about denuclearization of
Yeah, and mainly about your difficulty pronouncing it.
our two
Denuclearization. Ouch!
countries, and China would have come along. China has a much smaller right now nuclear armament than us, or field than us, but
Yeah, all their nuclear arms are out in a field somewhere. Sure.
they're going to be catching it at some point over the next 4 or 5 years. And
I'm sorry. What are they throwing them up in the air and trying to snatch them like X rockets, or?
I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear, and I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow, and China would have come along too. China also liked it.
Right, because if they pared theirs down by 20%, that's 2 rockets. But if we did, it's hundreds.
Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear, and the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about today.
I do. I want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. I mean, I think it's going to be exactly like Terminator 2? No. I mean, I'm a more like a Slim Whitman, on the top of a bomber going, "Yew!" But you're an idiot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because you don't want to hear it. It's too depressing.
You're right. I take it back. I didn't want to hear it. I thought I did, but that was my mistake. I'm sorry, chat room. I apologize.
So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. And I can tell you that President Putin wanted to do it. He and I wanted to do it. We had a good conversation with China. They would have been involved, and that would have been an unbelievable thing for the planet.
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos.
Okay, asshole. How does that affect Israel, Gaza, or fucking Sudan, or Syria, or Iran? I mean, even without nukes, there's still conventional war. I mean, the fucking Russia-Ukraine is a conventional war, dum-dum.
Next year, will there be then a peace agreement?
And more importantly, will we all get Sony Walkmans like we were promised? I brought my headphones from home, and these are the original ones that came with them. Mine, of course, broke because I played the Eurovision hit from that year over and over and over and over and over, and pop, and then went. So I was hoping to get a new one.
With Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine
Okay, thanks then. Can we turn him off, please?
is ready to make a deal. Just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president, it would never have started. This is a war that should have never...
Well, because it wouldn't have been a war. You'd have just taken the country in 6 days and never allowed NATO to protect Ukraine. You would have slow-rolled everything, and Russia would have won already. They would have won in a couple weeks.
Ever been started.
Ever, stupid.
And it wasn't...
And now I've got to clean it up because my friend invaded somebody I don't like.
Started during there was never even talk about it. I knew...
There was talk. They were in the country. What do you talk? Never talk about it. You said you had a conversation with him. Said, don't do it. Vladimir, don't do it. I said to him.
That it was the apple of President Putin's eye, but I also knew that there was no way he was going in, and he wasn't going to go in.
Because you told him don't go in, because it was discussed.
And then when I was out, bad things happened, bad things were said.
Naughty things, saucy things.
A lot of stupidity all around, and you end up with what you have. Now you have all these bombed out cities. They look like demolition sites with many people killed. I think the thing that you'll see about Ukraine is that far more people have died.
Again, he thinks they don't evacuate buildings before the bombs come in these cities that people have largely fled. Super weird. Like, he doesn't get that. Like, he still thinks people are living in the frontline buildings that are, you know, in the actual fighting zones. Like, does he not understand where the refugees went, or like how they all relocated to Lviv and shit like that? Like, no, they just must have all stayed in the building. Why is all this noising outside? Mama, there is a bomb. What is the word? Coming. Bomb coming. What? Bomb on its way. They called me 10 minutes ago. They said, get your shit and your grandmother. Actually, they called you shit, but I didn't want to make you feel bad. Get your... See? This is what fucking happens. Grandma moved too slow.
That is being reported. And I've seen that. But far, far more people have died. When you look at a city that's become a demolition site where big buildings have been collapsed by missiles hitting them and everything else, and they say one person was slightly injured. No, many people were killed. Those are big buildings. I was surprised at how that was my business. These are buildings that go 2 and 3 blocks long. They're 20 stories high. They're big.
No, they're not.
Powerful buildings. And they...
No. They're not multi-block buildings in Ukraine that are 20 stories high. You nutcase. No.
Were knocked down, and there were a lot of people in those buildings that announced that 2 people were injured. That's not true. So I think you're going to find that there were many more people killed in Ukraine in the Ukraine war than...
Yes, in my mind, than anywhere. And like, I don't know if you saw it, but like Tom Hanks was leading a bunch of them through the... I saw it. Like Tom Hanks and these guys were all trying to get through Ukraine to this other side. And then Russell Crowe is standing in the middle of Ukraine going, are you entertained? And yeah, it was unbelievable. And then Clint Eastwood came out in the middle and told this guy to make his day. And the whole place is just shit. It looked a lot like San Francisco. I don't know.
Anybody has any idea. But if you look now, so many of the people being killed are soldiers.
Yeah, that happens in war, I've heard. It's occupational hazard, I would think.
Facing each other with guns, rifles, and drones, the new form of warfare, drones. And it's a very sad thing to see. And when you see pictures of the fields that I see, nobody wants to see it. You'll never be the same.
Why? Because you're like, oh, God, somebody's going to have to mow that grass. And there's mines out there.
Thank you very much, Mr.
I'm shocked he didn't take his headphones off like this. Oh, Jesus. The fuck? I'm sorry. I committed to the joke too much and knocked my own ear pod out.
Mr. President, on behalf of...
On behalf of everyone here, who many of us are bleeding from the nose and the ear.
All the 3,000 participants here in Davos. We really underline that joining us the third day in your presidency, live taking questions here is so appreciated. And we
love it because we talk about so many serious things and it's so stuffy here and everyone wearing suits and we don't get a chance to really let our hair down and be crazy. So thanks for coming in and entertaining us. It's like having somebody do stand-up accidentally in the middle of something. You know, that's the funniest kind of humor is the kind that you're not prepared for, is a surprise. And other than a few what you would loosely call complete sentences out of your face, everything was really funny. Really funny.
Are already ready for receiving you next year in...
Yes, we are all lubed up and ready to go. And we can't wait to see what a year of being president will do to your already gelatinous fucking brain. Whew, that was a lot, kids. God damn. We do have, and I think this is in pieces. Yeah. This is Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. And I'm your host, Hal Sparks, and I will be Hal Sparksing the rest of the evening. Don't forget. After the show tonight, I get to drive to Los Angeles. I might do it in the morning after the morning show, but that would push the afternoon show It's so much. It's easier if I go tonight, quite frankly. It's easier. But since when do I do easy? So, but I can't leave you without letting you watch how upset this dickhead gets with his hero. This is hand job over here on Fox News gives Trump a reach around in the Oval, and now there are sitting rooms, there are places with tables. I don't know what this without table in between you cock to cock nonsense is that Trump always insists on doing. But it's hilarious and stupid, so I don't care.
You walk back in this office, this desk, this room.
With that hair and that gut and those shoes and your pants on backwards.
Your carpet. How'd you feel?
Well, it was a lot of work.
Do you believe that
Walking often is.
moment, people say
get to
members,
it.
he is in the, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me that weird, awkward handshake below the desk, like we're both hiding the fact that we're shaking hands from our wives at the end of a dinner table.
Let's talk about the moment you walked back in this office,
Let's talk about sex,
this
baby.
desk, this room, your carpet. How'd you feel?
Well, it was a lot of work. And as you know, I felt that we shouldn't have had to necessarily be here. Could have been done, a lot of work. Could have been, it would have been over. We wouldn't have inflation. We wouldn't have had the Afghanistan.
Sorry, he means this year, I guess. He would have rather have done this 4 years ago when he wasn't a dough-headed old fart like he is now.
Disaster. We wouldn't have October 7th with Israel, where so many people were killed, and you wouldn't have a Ukraine war going on. But with all that being said, I think it's bigger. It's bigger than if it were more traditional.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's bigger than if it was more traditional. He means connecting terms.
The second time in history,
Yeah.
somebody didn't have consecutive terms.
Yeah, you and Garfield. Congratulations. You're the Odie to Garfield's presidency.
Well, they say it's historically bigger. I don't know about that, but
No, I don't think they say that.
I can say it showed us a couple of things. It showed us that the radical left, their philosophies and policies are horrible. They don't work. You look at crime, you look at what's gone on at the border, you look at what's going to happen, the crime that's going to
Yeah, the amount of crime that's going to happen during my term, this is all liberals' fault.
happen. But I think we got there just in the nick of time. But
Absolutely, to blame everyone else for it.
we still have you covered better than anybody. We have terrorists in our country by the
Sorry. We still have you covered?
I mean, the crime that's going to happen. But I think we got there just in the nick of time. But we still have you covered better than anybody. We have terrorists in our country by the thousands.
We still have you covered better than... Okay.
Have murderers in our country by the tens of thousands. We have...
Yeah, and that's and we want to go back to the heyday of America back in like Prohibition when we had them in the hundreds of thousands.
Numbers that came out, 11,000 people that murdered are now free and walking around in our country. And
yeah, some people who commit crimes are allowed to do their time and then they're released. And I guess if you want to make all murder of all sorts a capital crime, you might want to let Sean Hannity and his viewers know.
of them, I think 48%, they say, killed more than one person, and they're walking around. They came out of jails from other countries.
Were they, did they kill those people in other countries before they came here and they only killed one American? Or they didn't kill anybody, but they were arrested here for somebody they killed elsewhere, and we're keeping them in jail rather than sending them to jail for the people they killed? Look, my hands are busy, but I can still take notes.
People, they've emptied their jails. I would, if I were the president or prime minister or something of another country, I'd empty my jails right into America.
What other country, like, let's just say you're the president of a country. and you had I don't know, the highest prison population in the world, why don't you just dump those folks? Why don't you just, I don't know, drop them off in South Africa or something?
Into the United States, why not? And many of them did it. If you look at
Guam.
Venezuela, their crime rate is down now 78% because they took their...
No, it isn't, by the way. I think it's because he's, you know what, I think he's seeing Sean Hannity's face is giving him flashbacks. And so he's just repeating the same lies. Midway through this, he's going to go, is this August of last year?
Street gangs, and they moved them into the United States. And
Yeah, they gave them all IKEA gift cards. And
you're seeing that in Colorado and Los Angeles and other places.
Bakersfield.
And we're going to
Toledo.
take care of it.
So did Biden really say to you when you came up to the front of the White House, welcome home?
No, did somebody say that?
I read it somewhere.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know what he said. Honestly, my ears are so full of shit.
I really don't know.
So you...
I don't remember anything. I just hear a low, like humming noise followed by a high-pitched whine, but that might just be your voice, Sean.
You left him a letter. It was funny with Peter Doocy, and Peter said, oh, Mr. President, did Joe Biden leave you a letter? He did leave you a letter.
He did.
And you had left him one, but you've never discussed...
It's so funny. And like you left him a letter, he left you a letter, and then are you guys pen pals?
...closed either one of them.
Well, a lot of people...
Now would be a great time.
You know, it was interesting. A lot of people
Well, to be the judge.
thought it was sort of like a setup with Peter Doocy and myself, and I have a lot of respect for Peter. But he just asked me a question about the letter, and then I remember that, you know, it's like a custom, you leave it right in the drawer of that beautiful desk right alongside of us. And
I kind of remembered that, something about being president before.
so I opened it up, and I actually gave the letter to Peter.
And
I needed somebody, I assumed, even though he worked at Fox, he could read.
did he got to read it?
I guess. I haven't.
You don't know?
I don't recognize the process of reading, so I think what he seemed to be looking at it and going, but that's what I do when I pretend to read, so.
I just sent it to him a little while ago.
All right, before we get into, there's so much
Sent it to him. Sent it to him. He was standing right there.
substance. You are inheriting a lot of problems.
Eric, Don Jr.'s obvious, penchant for crushed Sudafed and Adderall.
A lot of things that actually scare me.
Spiders. A mirror facing the shower.
And I want to get to all of that, but I want to...
Or across from the toilet. These are the things that terrify Sean Hannity.
And I will get to all of that.
Books. Jesse Waters' eyebrows. I'll stop.
They're
all solvable problems, though.
They are all, you can just solve them. There's a final solution for, as we say in our house, it's something Stephen Miller always says, there's a final solution for everything. Elon has a lot of those.
I agree.
They're all solvable.
Not easy.
With time, effort, money, unfortunately.
Yeah, some things are going to cost money, unfortunately.
But they're all solvable problems. We can get our country back. But if we didn't win this race, I really believe our country would have been lost forever.
Were there moments, I mean, when you think of what they threw at you, and I know you signed this declaration about no more weaponization, and
but you don't really mean it, obviously.
And we know that the preemptive pardons came up on Joe's way out, but you were facing a civil trial, a criminal trial, conviction, sentencing.
And it never occurred to you to stop being all rapey.
Jack Smith, D.C., Florida, Fonnie Willis.
It's like everybody knew you were a broke liar, and if you didn't get to be president, you would end up in jail, you know? And everybody kept hearing the story about how small your dick was and how short the sex with Stormy Daniels was and how it was hilarious. And how did that affect you when you kept hearing over and over what an inadequate, floppy, disgusting man, and how you managed to take your father's fortune and shit it down the toilet like so horribly, and you'd hear this. It must have had some kind of an impact on you over and over in the press every day. Somebody pointing out that you were friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 2.5 decades, and you never seemed to notice he was a pedophile. It just never seemed to bother you or whatever. Never. You were on the plane with him over and over, and people would bring this up. How does that make you feel? They would
I mean, you fought through all of that to get back right here in this office. What people don't know is over there's a little red button you push. You scare people. People think it's the nuclear button, but it's really, you know,
Something else.
It's you use it for a different purpose.
Diet Coke. Did you see the something else? You use it for a different purpose. He's ashamed of it. Like, he's embarrassed by it. It's become a meme, and he looks like an asshole. And he just gave it away. This is the inside trick. He tells everybody it's the button for the nukes because this stupid fucking, because when, I don't know, fucking whatever, when Ted Nugent comes over, or fucking Kid Rock, he goes, I got, you know, see that button right there? That's the button, and if I push it, people die. And I have it right here. I've got a button, and if I push it, this actually launches it. It senses my finger. Oh, that's Diet Coke.
But the question I have, it was, at any point, did you doubt you would be back here?
So it's a great question. It's something I don't think about. I never really thought about it. I don't think about, gee, will I be back? I just do it. I get it done. I get things done. I'm good at getting things done.
I mean, obviously not making a casino successful, or Trump Steaks, or Trump University, or Trump Water, or football, or actually, you know, keeping my golf courses afloat without government subsidies. But other stuff I get done. Pussies get grabbed. Diet Coke gets brought to me. Ketchup hits walls. I do things.
And I set my mind to it. As you know, we had a great election in 2016. I had a much better election in 2020.
Still grinding over this shit. He's gonna be butthurt for his whole fucking life.
And if I didn't have that election, I wouldn't have run. If I thought that I didn't get the number of votes, and it was reported that I got almost 75 million votes, and that was their numbers. That wasn't the numbers. That was their numbers. That was more than anybody has gotten in history. Any sitting
That's actually how many Kamala got.
president had ever gotten. And you lost. Had I gotten like 50 million, 40 million, or 60 million, I would never have run. But that was like a poll. So, but I had a different attitude. Too big to rig.
Poll came out just in
Edit.
the last 24 hours.
You're at 47%.
By insider advantage, that's Matt Towery. He nailed 2016, 2020,
Right.
and 2024. Great pollster, as you know.
Right.
And he gave you a 56% approval rating. He also said of Congress, and I had a town
Trump's like 56.
hall with members of Congress last night, that 70% of respondents want Congress to unite behind your agenda.
I watched that show. It was a great show. And you had some great people in the background. I know every one of them.
Yeah, we paid them all to like me.
And they're really patriots. I just saw the love. You know,
They're patriots.
was the speaker who was doing a terrific job.
He's so good at this. Except the part where he told me to go fuck myself on the debt ceiling, but...
The speaker is answering questions, and I saw the acknowledgement and the love they had.
It was so much love, it set off his porn app.
And those are tough people behind him. You know, these are not easy people.
There are others that are tougher.
I said, well, I don't know. This is a tough group if they want to be. They're not, nobody much tougher.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't watch Sean Hannity's show. Why would I? What the fuck are you assholes talking about? This is the kind of chit-chat these dickheads have when they're off camera. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
But they're very unified. I think they're going to do a great job.
But they have a small majority. You went through over 200.
Yeah, 2 votes. One, if two of them get the fucking sniffles, they can't pass anything.
Since we've got here.
And they're going to lose those guys. Oh, it's going to be so good. The fucking ketchup that's going to fly.
We have breaking news today that we'll get to in a minute.
What, you do? Wait, did something happen? Don't spring shit on me, Sean. I don't come on here for surprises. Is this gotcha news?
And especially as it relates to the border and some other issues.
Yeah, you know, that could be anything.
But you're going to need
but great. Both? Which is it?
to do some of these things legislatively.
Yeah, but you're going to have to do these, and also maybe not legislatively, possibly.
How you,
No, he cannot get a third term, everybody. Quit it.
you will probably play the largest role.
He's not going to make it through this one. I'm not wishing him ill, but he's not going to make it.
Yeah.
And uniting them both in the House and Senate. Reconciliation, the Senate has very strict, rules
Sure.
governing how they can do it. Do you, one big beautiful bill, two bills, do you care at this point?
I don't care as long as we get to the final answer. I like the
The final answer. Again, not comforting language.
concept of the one bill.
I like signing one thing, but I don't mind signing 12 things and holding them up.
I guess I said one big beautiful, and that's what everyone faces. Actually, it's sort of a nice sound to it.
Yeah, it's fucking poetry. You say one big beautiful bill, and people are like, oh, that's so much better than the other. I'm just a bill. I'm just one big, giant, beautiful bill, and I already passed Capitol Hill, and I came in with a signature, and everything passed like my dinner from last night when it fell out my ass, and I'm just a big, fat, beautiful, sexy bill.
But I do like that concept. It could be something else. It could be
I like the concept. It's not a concept, fuckwad.
a smaller bill and a big bill.
That's right. It could be one big bill, one big beautiful bill. It could be one big beautiful bill and one small sexy bill. It could be two medium sexy bills that are equally dispersed in proportion. Maybe one bill has bigger boobs and the other bill has a bigger ass.
Right.
But
It could be thousands of tiny, gorgeous little Tinkerbell-like bills.
as long as we get to the right answer. Now, I will say that Los Angeles has changed everything.
Oh, that's right. This is the part where he thinks he's going to hold the aid for California hostage and to get the big bill passed.
Because a lot of
We can use that as leverage to pass a bunch of awful shit by threatening wildfire relief and say if they don't sign off on tracking women's periods, that they want California to burn.
money's going to be necessary for Los Angeles.
And so we can use that necessity as a political tool because that's not terrorism.
And a lot of people on the other side want that to happen. And they
North
want it to
Carolina,
happen
too.
fast. Well, they don't care about North Carolina. The
I see. So if you put both of them in there, so you can put the North Carolina stuff in a separate bill, get that passed, and then put the California relief in this bill to force it through.
Democrats don't care about North Carolina. What they've done with FEMA is so
Isn't the governor Democratic?
bad. FEMA is a whole nother discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years.
And with me in charge, it's definitely going to be a shit show.
I had FEMA
You think Brownie was doing a heck of a job?
working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida. We had Alabama tornadoes. But
Which is a drink, I think. An Alabama tornado. Isn't that, it's 3 parts gin, 4 parts bourbon, a Baby Ruth, and you put it and you swirl it in an Australian toilet, which spins the opposite way.
unless you have certain types of leadership, it's
quote, it's no big deal.
really, it gets in the way. And
FEMA gets in the way. That's the problem with FEMA, yeah.
FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems. If
Okay, return all that FEMA funding to the states, give it back to them, completely zero it out. All that money goes back. The states don't have to pay into it. And California is going to have a lot more money to deal with their problems and not have to dole it out to fucking small states like Louisiana and Alabama and North Carolina. And those motherfuckers are screwed. Are you nuts? Please. Please.
they have a tornado someplace, and if they let that state Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma. 77 out of 77 districts. And that's
He won Oklahoma, 77 out of 77 districts. Yeah, what's the population of Oklahoma? 2 million?
it's never been done before. I did it 3 times. I mean, think of it, 3 times. Never.
But I won that state hands down, and what they want most is no federal aid after a tornado. And if I can help, the greatest reward I can give to the people of Oklahoma is congratulations, you're fucked.
Been done. Ronald Reagan had the record, 56 out of 77. I got 77 out of 77. So you have to love a place like that. I love Oklahoma, but you know what?
But you know what? If they get hit by a bunch of tornadoes, why is that our fucking problem?
If they get hit with a tornado or something, let Oklahoma fix it.
Jesus Christ. Hey, Oklahoma, you get what you pay for, dum-dum. If Oklahoma gets hit by a bunch of tornadoes, to let them take care of it? Jesus Christ.
Don't need. And then the federal government can help them out with the money. The FEMA is getting in the way of everything.
What do you mean help them out with the money?
And the Democrats actually use FEMA not to help North Carolina.
It makes no sense.
So I'm stopping on.
You're right. None of it does, Sean. None of this makes sense. You're talking to a lunatic.
Friday, I'm stopping in North Carolina. First stop.
Stopping what?
Yeah.
Because those people were treated very badly by
When you showed up?
Democrats. And I'm stopping there. We're going to get that thing straightened out because they're still suffering from a hurricane from months ago.
What? Months after a hurricane and everything's not rebuilt? Wow.
And then I'm going to go to California.
Mostly for fundraisers.
Will you meet with Gavin?
Oh, hold on one second. Momentary pause. Talk amongst yourselves. Safe travels. I'm sorry you're under the weather. Yeah, I know. Night. So on the plane, rest well. Okay. No, plenty to watch. Okay. Okay. Just so you guys know, Ethan, my girlfriend's son, is flying to Saudi Arabia tonight. We'll tell you all about it when he comes back. Yeah. For work.
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. Look, Gavin's got one thing he can do. He can.
He's got one thing he could do. He could charm the pants off of Steve Bannon, who wears, I think, 5 pairs of pants.
And release the water that comes from the north.
If you just stop standing there like Gandalf the Grey, you shall not pass.
There is massive amounts of water.
Maybe, wait, you know what? Wait, maybe he's onto something. Maybe the water puts out, we know that water puts out fire, except when it's grease or a EV battery, but maybe the smelt. Hang on. This idea might be the kind of dumb he likes. Maybe you could put the fire out with smelt. Huh? Maybe if you throw smelt into a fire, it explodes, and the smelt sucks up the oxygen in the room, works like a halon extinguisher. Could happen. I mean, it's as equally plausible as nuking a hurricane out of existence or diverting a storm by drawing a line with a Sharpie.
Rainwater and mountain water that comes due with the snow comes down as it melts. There's so much water, they're releasing it into the Pacific Ocean.
No, they're not.
And I told him, it's a political thing for the Democrats. I don't know.
I played the tape. You said it to him in front of him in 2018.
I said it.
Yeah, and even then he was like, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
To him in front of the media and everything else, and nobody talks about it. The media never picks it up. You put it out. I was so happy to see that tape because some people said, is that possible? They have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest, which has a lot of water. So much water that they'd have to let some of it go at some point. They don't need reservoirs. They don't need any. They're spending all this money on these reservoirs.
Yeah, they should just let the basin flood. They should just, and by the way, for the record, if what he was saying was true and you did it, it means that South and Central LA would be flooded. That's why they don't care. It would just, I mean, if the dam broke that LA uses for its basin, for the reservoir, if it broke, it would flood South Central LA. It would basically turn it into permanent marsh.
Fake reservoirs, you know,
But the
concrete.
reservoirs were empty. The hydrants didn't work.
No, they weren't. There was one that was empty.
And they're not practicing the science of forestry, which
The
is
sprinklers didn't work in the homes because they had no water. Think of it. We
Also, no.
have sprinklers. Think of it with no water. They didn't have any water.
Yeah, think of what a sprinkler is like if nothing's coming out of it. What's that like? It's like now, I guess, but add fire.
The fire hydrants,
sprinklers
yeah,
in
believe it, hard to believe. The place has sprinklers. It's nice. But you don't want to lose this office. By the way, how do you like it?
It's well, I'm glad. It's great to be back. I'm not going to lie.
You know, I've had the biggest people in the world come here,
Yeah.
and they come into the Oval Office,
And they cry and oh my God, tears.
and they just look, and they want time to look. They're looking around. George
amazing.
Washington, Abe, Honest Abe.
One day maybe we can do a tour. We had a conversation, and maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but I.
No, yeah, don't. Don't. I mean, from client number 1 of Michael Cohen to client number 3 of Michael Cohen, I would just say,
Well, and it was after the 2020 election. And you asked me a question, and we've known each other for 30 years, so we have a friendship and we have a professional relationship.
yeah, you know, like members of the press should have with the president.
And the question you asked me, maybe in the end it will be better that if I came back in 4 years. And we talked about history. After World War II, Winston Churchill was thrown out, but they brought him back. Grover Cleveland is the only other American president that did not serve consecutive terms.
And the only one named after a cartoon cat and a Muppet.
And my answer to you was, I thought it would be bigger if you came back.
Yeah. And are you still mad at me?
It's turning out to be bigger. And I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring.
No.
Yeah, that was what was keeping most people up at night.
They don't want to see men in women's sports and other
Right, because nothing drives the cost of eggs up faster.
ways. They don't want to see them, and they don't want to have transgender for everyone.
Not everyone. I will say that. That is true. That is true. I mean, really. I mean, look, I'm not here to yuck your yum. You know, if you are, be. If you aren't, but you like, then you like. None of my business. Transgender for everyone.
They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl.
And that's true. I would assume that the treatment would take longer.
A parent doesn't want to see that.
No, everybody else does, but the parents are definitely going to be missed because they've only had 2 days to change the room.
And there are
They got all the posters on the wall, and they figure they got to buy new drapes.
states where that can happen.
Oh.
They don't want to see taxes go through the roof. Like, this is the only group of people they want to raise your taxes. They say, we want to raise your taxes. You know, if they don't work with us on the Trump tax cuts extending, that would mean we go back to the taxes. We got the largest tax cut.
Yeah, it's funny. Like they ran on not doing it, and there's enough of them in office to keep it from happening. So I guess apparently that argument works with a decent enough number of people to keep the tax cut from passing.
In history.
What's going to be in that tax cut bill for Democrats to make them want to sign it in the first place? I mean, it's going to sunset. What are you going to give them? What is this asshole going to threaten or give to Democrats to get them to sign on to an extension of the Trump tax cut? Because I can't think of anything. He's certainly not offering anything up.
That would mean the taxes would go up more than any tax hike in the history of our country. And normally you'd say that's got to be the easiest negotiation in history, because if they did that, how could they ever win an election?
Well, they won an election in a lot of their districts by running against you. So,
But they'll fight us on that. They fight us.
right, yeah, and you don't have enough of a margin to guarantee it because you haven't convinced a significant number of voters that it's a good idea,
Some things, it's incredible.
including Republicans.
Here, I ran
They don't
into
use common sense. In my opinion, the Democrats don't use common sense. And that's
common
why
sense
they-
won the day in the election.
Yeah, but you know the amazing thing? I'm watching
You mean common misconceptions?
now. Now it's time, and, you know, a few months have passed, and the election's over, and you see what happened, and it was a rout. I won all 7 swing states, and we won by millions of votes, the popular vote, millions. And nobody can even believe some of the numbers. And how about with African Americans, with Hispanics, with everything, how well we did? Nobody can believe the numbers. How about with youth? I won youth by 36 points.
No, he didn't.
Now, maybe that's because I went on TikTok. I don't know. But I'm starting to have a very warm spot.
TikTok is going to be sold, right?
I think TikTok's
Well,
going to
what
maybe
about-
stay
well, people
around.
like
I'll tell you,
Senator-
people want to buy it.
I
People
bet
want
they
to
do.
buy it.
But
Yeah, nobody gives a shit if somebody wants to buy it. The Chinese aren't going to sell it, stupid.
those that's
You know what TikTok is without the algorithm? Vine. You know what it would cost these assholes who want to buy it for $20 billion to make a new Vine? It would cost them $5.
say they know, say it's a spying app for the communist
I know.
Chinese.
But
So-
but you can say that about everything made in China. Look, we have our
No,
telephones made in China for the most part.
no. You have them assembled in China.
We have so many things made in China. So why don't they mention that? You know,
What they do. I mean, that's what the TP-Link scandal was about. That was what the issue with, like, the circuit boards in fucking cell towers, you weirdo.
Let me get to
the
some
interesting
issues.
thing with TikTok, though, is you're dealing with a lot of young people. So
They love it.
is it that important for China
Yes.
to be spying on young people, on young kids watching crazy videos and things?
I don't want China spying on anybody.
No, but
Also, it's not, they don't just spy on what you're doing. They're not just watching what you watch, motherfucker. They get all the details on your phone and track it. And they can turn the fucking mic on anytime they want. Does Barron have a phone? If Barron's on TikTok and you just go, let him bring his phone in, I don't care, then Barron's phone hears everything. Do you ever have that moment? Summer and I had one of these this morning where we're laying in bed, mind your business, and we were talking about something about these places you can go to watch that don't have light pollution, where you can watch the night sky and the stars and stuff, and we're both big NASA heads and stuff like that. And I had been looking into this whole water issue that he keeps talking about, and Death Valley and all this stuff. And what kept coming up in Death Valley was all this flooding that had been happening in Death Valley, of all places. Anyways, there's a place there and I think the Oasis in Death Valley or something, and it's a resort where you can go there and you can watch the sky from this place, and you can see more stars than anywhere else on the planet, and it's kind of great. Anyways, while we're talking, an ad for it comes up on her phone, which she has out. And we're both like, it's listening. I'm sure some of you have had that moment. Whether or not that's true, or whether or not it's just because our accounts are linked, and if I'm looking at something and we're in a relationship and it knows we're in a relationship, and that's why it starts sending it to everybody's phone, and it's like, oh my God, we're talking about this. What the household's talking about. I was looking it up, so whatever. Anyways, point being, there absolutely is an element of that in TikTok. And he's not going to give a fuck if Barron comes in holding his iPhone, and if anybody goes, you got to put it in a bag and leave it in there when you come in, he's going to go, no, he doesn't. He's my son, and let him in. And it's just the dumbest, fucking lamest, weakest excuse in the world.
But they make your telephones, and they make your computers, and they make a lot of other things. Isn't that a bigger threat?
I'm
No.
sure that'll be part of your discussions with President Xi, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Let me go to.
You really? Really? What's the discussion going to be? You got spyware on all of our phones and all of our computers, so why do I give a shit what happens on TikTok? Leave me alone.
The border. We do have breaking news today. I ran into Tom Homan as I was walking in today.
Did he ask you for your papers?
And
I'm kidding, you're white.
so far, 308 total arrests,
308? My God.
296 detained
At this rate.
detainees. And the first deployment.
Wait, how many? What? Back the fuck up. Wait.
That a bigger threat?
I'm sure that'll be part of your discussions with President Xi, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Let me go to the border. We do have breaking news today. I ran into Tom Homan as I was walking in today.
Right.
And so far, 308 total arrests, 296 detained.
308 arrests, 296 detained. So you released 12 of them?
Detainees. And the first deployment of military assets to the U.S. border. The deployment includes active duty troops in the National Guard.
Right.
And here's my
Like the Texas National Guard has been doing this whole fucking time with Operation Lone Star or whatever?
biggest fear and concern.
This is my biggest fear. What if there aren't 20 million people in the country illegally, like you said?
Beyond the Iranian assassination squads is we now know 14 million. We don't know how many gotaways. We don't know the total number.
But please make up the biggest number you could possibly. So let's go with 35 bazillion.
But we have known terrorists in our country. We
Do you know them personally?
have known murderers, rapists.
And that's just people who go to Mar-a-Lago.
We have violent criminals, cartel members, gang members.
And the terrible French criminal known as the Tickler. That's right, the French Tickler. He runs around going, kitchy, kitchy, kitchy. That guy's a menace.
Now, I would imagine if you came from Iran and Syria and Egypt and Afghanistan and
And you'd be exhausted going to all those places first.
Russia and China and Venezuela,
That's a long route. That's like Indiana Jones's airplane.
you didn't come here because you want a better life for your children.
No, you could have had a better life for your children in any of those other countries.
I would imagine those known terrorists are planning an attack on our homeland.
Well, I mean, if they want to keep the moniker known terrorist, maybe they're retired known terrorists.
At a moment's notice, you're going to be in this desk, maybe sitting at this desk, or maybe
Probably not.
up in the residence, and they're going to
Probably up in the residence, in the bed, covered in Cheeto dust.
call you down in the Situation Room because our
And you're going to go, why? I don't want to. All right. I'll be down in a half an hour.
homeland is under attack. I would like to be wrong, but when you
Well, you picked the right job. You work at Fox. I mean, it's probably in your contract.
have known terrorists, you have to believe that they are going to attack our homeland. That would change their trajectory, that moment of your entire presidency. That has to weigh on you.
Yeah, it could be. And I know I've watched you for a lot of years, and you actually make one statement before you say that. You say 100% certain.
I do.
That's a pretty big statement.
And then I say, I pray to God I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong too. And I won't comment, but I tend to agree with you.
I won't comment, but here I go.
It depends. We'll see what happens. Look.
That is true. You will. I got to give him that. In the case of a terrorist attack on the homeland, we will see what happens.
We have a lot of great people right now.
We have a lot of video of 9/11. That's why I believe that.
Now, a lot of great people on this situation. This was a
Yeah, but you're firing a bunch of them.
gross miscarriage of common sense
What?
to allow people to come in. And I believe the number is 21 million people.
A gross miscarriage of common sense. Is that a felony or a misdemeanor?
And a large percentage of them are criminals.
What's the percentage? 82%, 12%, 15 to 37%, 38, 30, 41.2.
All over the world.
55.
Well, this is not just South America. This isn't, we
No.
talk Venezuela. That's a big abuser. But these are countries from
Iran,
the
Syria?
Congo.
Iran, the Congo.
Countries that you don't even think of. The Congo
Yeah, you don't think of them because black.
has emptied their prisons out into the United States.
Stephen Miller said that, making a joke about Baltimore, you racist asshole.
We're not thinking about the Congo. We're thinking about South America. It's much more than South America. But prisons from all over the world have been emptied out into our country by.
And why? Because they hear that we have more people in jail than any other country, and so
Biden allowing it to happen. I don't even know if he knew what the hell was going on, but who would want this? I always say to people, you always like to understand, like in a business here, you want to understand the other side. Why do they want something, et cetera, and you figure it out. Mm-hmm. And there's usually an answer, almost always. I don't understand, why does somebody want open borders where, and they say the vote, okay, but I did well with the Hispanic vote.
Yeah, they don't say the vote.
If you're looking at Hispanic.
You say the vote. Fox News says the vote.
They say they do it because they want to think they're going to stay in power. It's going to be better for Democrats. I don't really believe that. Besides that, they cheat so much, they don't have to do that. They cheat so well. They're very good at cheating. The only thing they're good at really is cheating.
Well, then why did you get in?
But here's the thing I ask. Why would somebody say that open borders are good, where jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to...
Real quick. Maybe, how about this? Why, when you say, what is with the walls of this room bleeding pus? Why are all the walls in here? Well, who would be for this decor where the walls are just seeping ooze and bile and blood, it's just coming down everywhere? Who would be for this? And the other person goes, that's not happening. You are making this up. This is crazy. No, why would anybody do this? Why would anybody set monkeys loose on the chandelier? Who is letting Bigfoot take a shit on the lawn out there like that? Who's allowing this to happen? Who else smells almonds? Anybody?
The United States of America and emptied out into our country. Why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country, you have to like it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think of it as kind of a friends with benefits.
Why would anybody that likes our country, the Democrats, allow that to happen?
Well, it would have to actually be happening.
And even now, I watch them on television. They're trying to justify it. You can't justify it.
With what? How are they justifying it? With what you're making up?
Only the reason it can be is two reasons. You're stupid, and I don't think they're stupid. I think anybody that cheats that much and that well is not stupid. You're either stupid or you hate the country. Those are the only two.
Or it's not happening, and what they're largely talking about are your buddies in big agribusiness who import a lot of illegal migrants to work here under the table. And if you started throwing those guys in jail, this shit would dry up really fast.
Reasons. Sean, who would ask for open borders?
Who would ask for a pinched nunt like this? I'm sorry. I feel like if people are watching and they're just joining us, it's just rude. You're probably going to see more nunt in this one than you did in the Davos thing, because at least they pulled back far enough to make it, palatable. I think they were shooting them from Cleveland.
With people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you
Why not?
can look at them and you can say, could be trouble.
Brown, probably Guatemalan. He's eating what looks like, whatever it is, he's eating it out of a tinfoil wrapper. That guy's bad news.
Could be trouble.
Yeah, what was it, the eye tattoo or whatever?
There are people
It's the teardrops?
coming in.
There are people with gang tattoos on.
There are people coming in with
Yeah, that's not what he's talking
tattoos all over their face.
about. Oh, yeah, those guys.
Their entire face is covered with tattoos.
Yep, that's enough.
Typically, he's not going to be the head of the local bank.
Typically. Well, it depends on what the local bank is, I think. That was a good edit point. What did he say that was so fucking racist after that he had to cut away?
Okay, they're going to get
Not that any of them could.
federal funds.
Yeah. We're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to end them, and a lot of the people in those communities don't want them. California is a big
Would you
example.
cut off their money?
I might have to do that. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do. Look, California is a great example of it. If you actually polled the people, they don't want sanctuary cities, but Gavin Newsom does, and these radical left politicians do. And if you asked them why, they couldn't even. I watched Gavin Newsom try to answer that question. He was unable to even answer. He looked like an idiot. He was unable to answer.
Also, this whole sanctuary cities thing, largely driven by city councils, where the city council members themselves are funded by the business organizations that use a lot of undocumented workers so that they don't have to pay them much and they don't have to give them benefits. And
Ask him one other question. Why is it that you don't want millions of gallons of water a day
oh my God,
pouring throughout California?
The fucking smelt again.
You know, the farmland in California is, they say, the equivalent of Iowa. Great land.
Yeah, because it's, what, 5 times the size of Iowa?
But it's got no water. And you sit there and it's little.
Well, then I guess it's not good. I guess that would be the, yeah. Every desert is a swimming pool waiting to happen.
Literally, you can see it burning. It's on flame.
Sure.
All they
It is on flame.
need is water in that big farmland.
Yeah, if it's on flame until the water comes.
And I ask him,
And then just add water.
why? How is it possible that you're not allowing this water? They divert it out to the Pacific Ocean where it drops into the ocean. And you know what it's like? It's like nothing. To the Pacific Ocean, it's like 2 glasses of water. It's nothing.
Well, 2 glasses of water to the Pacific Ocean would be the direct equivalent of 2 glasses of water. I mean, there's enough fresh water during a big rainstorm that it affects the silt and it pushes it. I mean, it's fresh water, so it pushes the fish out, and there's a lot of factors. There's also garbage in it.
Millions of gallons of water is diverted way up north in California into the Pacific Ocean. That water, you know, they have the pipes in it. It's half pipes. You see them all the
Yeah, it's all these fucking skaters. You know what it is? It's the skateboarder lobby.
time. Half pipes. People live in those half pipes now.
Oh, I see. Because they're not. Well, they know one thing: they're not going to drown.
You know, they have homeless living in those half pipes. But this is water that millions of gallons of water a week and a day in some cases, you know, depending on the flow. So much water they wouldn't
You mean a flash flooding diversion point?
know what to do with it. Your sprinklers would be filled. They can even, remember when I took criticism because I said you have to manage your forests? The head of a country that lives in forests, a number of them actually.
Yes, the king of Arborea, I think it was, or it might have been one of the Keebler elves. I forget.
Finland told me this. Austria told me this. The head of Austria, head of Finland. And it was beautiful the way they
Yes, very dry, deserty kind of countries.
expressed it. They said, we live in a forest. We are a forest nation.
Yes, we never had a drought ever.
That's beautiful, isn't it, to say that? We have trees that are
Very tree-like.
most magnificent in the world, far more beautiful than what they have in California,
Well, that's because the trees are transplanted there.
and much more flammable.
We're using the great kindling trees. All of them, they're basically all made of balsa wood, their entire trunks, and then coming off the branches are largely cotton.
He said,
This tree does have not sap, it has kerosene.
we don't have forest fires. We manage our forests.
You can get a degree in forestry.
Well, they'll do cuts, yeah, can you imagine? But you don't need much. You have to clean the floors of the forest.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe a Roomba.
You know, when they had forests, I go to see some of the sites. I watched in California. They use billions of dollars of money. And they just said, you know, I mean, look at what happened. Los Angeles, that's like a nuclear weapon went off, what's happened to Los Angeles. And, you know, that thing went for 4 or 5 days. Nobody was even fighting it because they didn't have any
Fuck you.
water.
Yeah, they were. They were fighting it the whole time.
Their fire departments aren't funded properly. And the firefighters were brave as hell. They were fighting without water. I mean, they turn on.
Yes, they were coming. All they had was like sauces from local restaurants.
A fire hydrant, there's no water that comes out, and they're sitting, and the fires are rushing at them at 30, 40 miles an hour. Those firefighters were brave. What happened to that state is incredible. And then you listen to, I remember when Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom were debating on your show.
Yeah.
And Newsom's talking like, everything's great, everything's great, just great, just great. More people left California this year than ever have left in history.
Yeah, and we still haven't gone down in population.
Before the fire, But look at it. Take a look. And you know, the amazing thing, these are wealthy people. Many wealthy people lost their homes. I saw somebody on television, one of the wealthiest people.
Yes. It's good that he's going for the sympathy vote.
One of the most powerful people in the country being interviewed.
And that guy couldn't, I don't know, hire people to, I don't know, clean his forest?
As though he were a vagrant. His shirt was, and you have to know him, he's a mean, horrible human being. He's a tough guy, very tough guy, a horrible person.
Yeah.
But he's very rich. And
He's rich, but he's a horrible person.
No, he's a horrible human being.
Yeah, so you know him really well.
No, you have rich people that are very nice. So, but this guy's a terrible person. So I say, that's so-and-so.
Wait a minute, that's Mel Gibson.
I said to Melania, I said, look at it. They were interviewing him as a guy that lost his house. He said, they took my house away. And he's literally in his underwear and his T-shirt. It looked like he just got out of the bedroom. And I say, that's one of the wealthiest guys in the country. Look at this guy. Take a look at him. Someday I'll tell you the name, maybe after the interview.
Okay.
But you won't even believe it. But he was on television as somebody that, and he was complaining they wouldn't let him go to his house, which was on fire. They wouldn't let him go because, you know, they don't.
Because he's an asshole, right? He's stupid and weak, and I mean, no wonder you're.
Want him to die. No, some of the wealthiest, most powerful people lost their homes. And
goddamn, like, again, what case are you making?
And it looked.
Yeah, arson. There's a lot of arson.
Like our country was helpless. This fire was just raging.
No, it didn't look like our country was helpless. It looked like we built houses in a desert and we funnel water to it. And sometimes, because of climate change and other things, the weather is a perfect storm. We have fires all the time. This one was particularly bad, and the wind blew in such a way that there was no way to push back on it. No matter how, there's no reason to store as much water the rest of the time, because this is a once in 100-year situation.
And then it would catch to another air, another air, another air. There was nothing. It took a week and a half.
Real quick, chat room. Can I? Okay. So I posted this earlier on my Blue Sky, where of course you follow me, and a lot of people shit on Henry Winkler when he brought up the amount of arson that's going on. Now there is also, and this is so hard to have a conversation about homelessness versus people who just live off grid, people who think that they're like rebels against society who live in Topanga on a fucking permanent camping vacation, when it's not that they're homeless and they've slipped through the cracks. They have chosen to live off grid on public land, or they were starting on somebody's farm like fucking Manson and the fucking Spawn Ranch, and now they live up there and they set fires all the fucking time. A big portion of the regular fires that happen in and around Los Angeles are fucking arson. Some of them are just people setting fires and not properly putting them out. That happens all the time. Go any campground, you'll see multiple signs saying, make sure your fire is out, bury it when you're done, all that shit, right? Okay. This dude and his girlfriend, who used to teach fire prevention, both of whom who would qualify as, quote, left-wing in their beliefs, which I think they lose their left-wing card the minute you start a fire, because arson is murder. They bought this fire truck at auction, made up Roaring River Fire. There is no such thing. They put that across it, and they posed as firemen, firepersons. This guy, Dustin Nell. In 2017, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for, in the city of Woodburn, he did a 5-year arson spree that targeted a multitude of locations in the community. Him and his wife, Jennifer, who was with him, were arrested on suspicion of impersonating firefighters in unauthorized entry of an evacuation zone after they drove a fake fire truck through the Palisades fire checkpoint. Now, these assholes set fire to places because they didn't like rich people, or they set fire to places because, it had a country club nearby or whatever. 27 people have died. People who live in apartment buildings lost everything. So this idea that you could somehow punish the rich by setting blanket fires in giant urban areas is, it's a level of like bigotry towards humanity that's hardly worth discussing. But these are fucking gross people. Like this is murder. These are murderers. There's a reason why kids who play with fire, you know, it's like serial killers are always kids that start playing with fire because it's passive murder. It's a way of killing people without being there and then knowing you did it and getting a prurient excitement. Yeah, this happens a lot, by the way. People pose as fire, or like call in the fire they set, all this stuff. And mentally ill doesn't cover it, Remo. Just because you'd have to be crazy to be this fucking disgusting isn't mental illness. They are married. They planned this shit. They are completely sane. These motherfuckers have decided that this is a way to meet their needs on a personal level and to politically manipulate people. They are eco-terrorists. This is what they do. Now, domestic terrorism in the United States, for all the mockery that it's gotten from the right wing, includes this shit. These people are passive murderers. They don't give a fuck who they kill. And so the idea that this is good for the planet, or it's excusable, or it has some sort of, reasonable nature because you got to do something and blah, blah, blah. These assholes plan this shit in highly populated, dense urban areas because they want to make a point. Is the arsonist an illegal? Not this one, but there was an illegal immigrant who was arrested. I believe it was the person with it wasn't the person with the blowtorch. It was another person done. But no, in this particular case, there were 7 arrests for arson, all spread out across these. Okay. And let me tell you, there need not be any false equivalence. You don't have to compare it to anybody else's behavior. Stop right there. Anytime we talk about this shit, there's always this but in, like Trump even tries to do it. You know, well, sure, my guys beat the cops, but did you see what these people did? Doesn't fucking matter. Wrong is wrong. So and in any of these conversations, you're always better off if you just can land on a consistent moral ground. And I personally think, fuck me, that setting a fire in an urban area or a place where homes are, knowing full well that it's dry brush and heavy winds and the sand anders are coming through, and knowing it will blow and grow and kill people, is you being a murderer. You're just passively doing it. It's the same as like hiring somebody to kill somebody. And whatabouting any of it is fucking awful. And I know that in our community, there have been a couple of pop-ups lately where people have become okay with the idea of the death penalty with no jury trial. By public opinion, certain people should just be able to be murdered, period. And so if you believe that, I don't want to hear anything from you about the death penalty as it's carried out in the country. You don't get to mix and match. Fuck you, no, wrong, all the time. Death penalty, wrong, as far as I'm concerned. And the idea that it's okay sometimes, no. And if you're for it, just say you're for it. I've seen a bunch of people in the chat room believe in murder without a jury trial. Like, literally. Have said openly, someone can be convicted in the court of public opinion and killed in public for what, for a perceived slight or a crime. Can anybody got any idea what I might be alluding to? I mean, I've seen it dozens of times. One of our dear friends has Texas Paul, I think, is selling a mug on his site, bless his heart, that is pro-lynching, that supports the idea that someone can get the death penalty based on public opinion and that's okay. There you go, Peggy Peg. Right. And my argument would be it's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Stop right there. And if you're making the case that it's right in that circumstance, then I don't want to hear you talking about the Innocence Project. I don't want to hear any shit from you about people who are being rounded up and kicked out of the country because they're not getting their Fourth Amendment protections. Because you're okay with it. Period. I am not. I believe that makes me morally superior. If you don't believe it makes me morally superior, then that's your illness, not mine. And the idea that we would ever be okay on our side of the aisle with anyone being given the death penalty, murdered based on public opinion about who they are, what they do for a living, what they say, that in and of itself is a wrong. It is an absolute wrong. And if that's, am I being mean to Texas Paul? No, I'm calling that part of it out. I love Texas Paul, but that's fucked up. We're talking about people on our side agreeing with him. We're talking about people on our side of the aisle and our belief stream agreeing with him. Just as long as it's a different target, right? And you guys know this. I'm an absolutist on political violence. Period. End of story. Yeah, fuck that nonsense, 100%. But it's not even Texas Paul. I love him too. But there's people in this chat room I've seen who've thrown this fucking like Luigi nonsense around in there, and the answer is no. And if you're okay with it, I don't want to hear shit about the Innocence Project because you don't care. You don't care if somebody on death row is innocent or guilty. You don't. And you think if enough people in the in the world are mad at a particular person or the job they do or who they are, they deserve to die. Nope. Sorry. 100%. Murder's murder. Not okay. Fuck that shit. No. I am not for the death penalty when it goes through the legal system because it is we're too capable of killing an innocent person, even with all the safeguards. End of story. Better to have them put away for life in jail because you can at least let them out if you're wrong. Nobody's ever been paroled from a fucking cemetery. And the idea that you can now just do it on the street, fuck you. No, not ever. No. Not a joke, not silly, not a ironic thing, not how very telling. No, it's not it's indicative of a bigger system. Everybody who supported the fucking Unabomber said that. That's what everybody who supported the Unabomber was like, well, he's making a point that needs to be made. Fuck this asshole who picked up a package sitting in a parking lot and had his hands fucking blown off. Fuck that secretary who ended up dying with nails in her neck. Technology's getting out of hand. No. You don't get to tacitly side with this motherfucker and then pretend you're on because you share his tactics. You just have a different target. I'm not making a false equivalence, Jeremiah. I'm making a direct equivalence. No. And if you disagree with me on that point, vehemently enough to have a strong opinion about it, please fuck off. Leave and never come back. I don't bounce people from my chat, and I don't block people unless they use violent rhetoric or that kind of shit. But this is my show. These are my points of view, and if you disagree with them that vehemently, there is no place for you here on that level. People don't pick who lives and dies just on what they don't like. Sorry, you got to find another way. Period. Other than that, I have no opinion. Okay, what was this dickhead saying again?
And I've never seen anything like it. We look so weak.
Will you give, obviously Americans want to help other Americans in need, okay?
Yeah.
Fair enough, we do that. We got to help the people in North Carolina. They've been suffering.
You mean California has to help the people in North Carolina? North Carolina doesn't make that kind of money, and neither does the fucking center of the country. The red states don't make that kind of money. The red states get more from federal dollars than they give out. California is picking up the tab for North Carolina.
Well, you know that's what I want to do. That's why I'm stopping there first.
You're going to stop in California.
I'm stopping in North Carolina.
Should the money be
first.
contingent on them practicing the science of forestry?
Well, I think this. I'm going to.
Should North Carolina have better flood mitigation efforts?
Put a statement out today, I think, and maybe it's already written. I said, I don't think we should give California anything until they let water flow down into their
It's from the north to the south.
This is a political thing. I don't know what it is. You know, they talk about the Delta smelt. It's a little tiny fish like this. They say it's an endangered species. Well, how is it endangered? No wonder it's endangered. It's not getting any water. How do you...
Jesus Christ. The level of like just kind of dipshittery in this, and his like misunderstanding of the issue, and his hyper focus on the idea that the water in Northern California isn't reaching Southern California. If it got diverted anywhere, it would be diverted into the farmlands in Central California. That's where he's talking about the signs with him passing by Stockton with Devin Nunes. That's not water that would come down to Los Angeles.
If you have a fish and you're stopping the water...
Jeez, it's almost like are they trying to kill the smelt? Maybe I'm on the smelt side now.
Isn't that going to hurt the fish?
I did a show in 2009 from the San Joaquin Valley, Devin Nunes' district.
Right.
Right, which is where the water would go. It wouldn't go to Los Angeles.
And they wouldn't give thousands of acres of farmland water to protect that.
By the way, you see that?
To protect what?
No. I drove up the highway. I was with Devin Nunes and other Republican...
Right. Again, this is not water that's going to the L.A. or fucking the Antelope Valley or any of those areas. This is water that would go to Central California, on the eastern side of the state.
Congressman. And I looked at these vast areas of land, and it looked like it was just burning. It was dark.
Yeah, the sun is pretty heavy there. It's called Death Valley. There's a reason why waters hasn't been there since the Paleolithic era.
It was dry. And then there'd be a little patch, little tiny patch of green, beautiful green. And I said, why? How come all this land has these little patches?
Because they got to divert the water there, and instead of just letting it evaporate, they specifically run it through tubes that get it directly to the farm so that it's used directly in front of it so it doesn't just fucking evaporate.
They said, that's all that we're allowed to farm because we have no water. I said, are you having a drought? No. They've turned off the water. They turned off the spigot from up north in order to protect the deltas.
Hold on. You put me in a timeout, and I said nothing wrong. Review it. I haven't put you in a timeout. Sometimes the bot will do that if you use bigoted language or racial or sexual epithets. That's on you. It's not about the content of what you say, it's how you say it.
Let me move on to the
And by the way, I don't really believe it's the Delta smelt.
So are we trying to save it or kill it, or we don't care at all? It's just what they're just they want Los Angeles to catch fire?
Because nobody could do that.
It's
not endangered either. They have it in other locations, et cetera, et cetera.
They're doing seemingly everything they could do, like New York is in many ways to chase people away.
No, but could you imagine today?
Yeah, we're catching all the smelt, and we mail them to New York, and New York lays them around on the street to make the place stink, so everybody moves.
It's crazy.
We're collaborating.
People, and the press doesn't like, when I talk about the water that they're turning into the Pacific, the press never wants to put it on.
They put it on all the time, but nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about.
The fake news.
Again, this is about water diversion into Central California. Not that it's going out into the fucking sea. It's that they'd have to build these giant pathways. They'd have to basically dig rivers all the way down to Central California from Northern California to divert all this shit, period. The water isn't coming there naturally. They want it unnaturally.
They don't want to put it on, Sean.
You do realize that you have permanently tattooed into the forehead of legacy media the term fake news. You do realize they spent 9 years, 9 years attacking you from the moment you came down that escalator, and they didn't stop. And here's the interesting part to me.
You're still guilty. Still a pussy-grabbing kleptocrat. Still squeaked by a smaller margin than Hillary Clinton had in the popular vote over you.
Is that all of the attacks...
Literally, the president had to drop out of the race and be replaced by his vice president to give you a chance to squeak through.
All the weaponization, all the FISA warrants, all the Russia, and we can go on. All the various venues, the J6 committee, which kept out a lot of pertinent information.
And how about the J6 committee? I call it the unselect. You know, they say the select.
But they didn't win.
No. What they did was criminal. That's why they got pardoned.
No, I'm saying
they deleted and destroyed
What?
all of the information that they collected.
Why else would they?
No, they didn't. Really? We have to do this? Okay, that's fine. Hold on one second. Scrolling. Keep them doggies. Okay, let's go to this. And we go down to here. And we'll pull up a bit of this. Where is this? All right. govinfo.gov. Select January 6th committee final report and supporting materials collection. There it is. It is all here. There's the final report. There's the text and details. Here's the supporting materials. There's MP4s, the details of this, the thing. Here's all the files. Get them in PDF form. There they are. It's all there. Supporting materials, select committee hearing videos. Here they are. There's the videos. Transcribed interviews and depositions. Here's everybody who was deposed. Here's all their depositions. There we go. That's page 1 of the depositions. Here's page 2. Here's page 3 of the depositions. Here's page 4. All the depositions, every one of them. Everybody who was deposed, all of their testimony, there they are. This is the whole thing. These are all they. And there's more on this. There you go. And then, where was the other part? Scroll down past here. Supporting materials, video exhibits. They got rid of any videos for people who were not deposed or were not called as witnesses because they don't have any right to keep interviews with you past a certain point unless it's used as evidence in a trial, so they get rid of it. Here's all the other ones. This the other videos from this. And supporting web resources referenced by the committee. So everything on the web that they did, articles, reports, studies, polling, articles about different states, and that kind of stuff. There it is. It's all here. Let's scroll back up to here. There you go. There it is. That's all the stuff. That's what you need right there. That's the stuff. None of it is gone. All of it's right there. All the supporting materials and video exhibits. All that. There you go. Still available. Didn't go anywhere. Period. All there. Just saying.
Need a pardon.
And you know why? Because it proved I was right. All of that information was deleted and destroyed. They deleted all of the information having to do with the 10,000 soldiers that I offered to Nancy Pelosi, and she's now on tape.
Also, no, he didn't offer 10,000 soldiers.
Admitting it.
I have four.
No, she isn't.
5 people on tape, and General Milley was the 5th in writing, all saying that you authorized it in the days leading up. The Capitol Police Chief asked for the Guard, was begging for the Guard. Muriel Bowser, in writing, denied the use of the Guard.
But Nancy Pelosi
that story was.
Yeah, because they thought you were going to use the Insurrection Act and attack the Capitol, that you were going to bring in like loyalists from all over the country. It wasn't like the Maryland National Guard. They were cool with that. You wanted to bring in the Texas National Guard and fucking Louisiana and a bunch of fucking militia groups from that were breakout groups from that were in the National Guard in Michigan and other places at one time.
Strongly denied it.
She said that.
She was responsible for the whole thing.
She took responsibility.
And she took responsibility for her daughter.
Yeah.
When it was exposed, they found the daughter's tape, a videotape of her mother saying that she was responsible. And you know what? And they tried to lose it.
Yeah, no. She's talking about not being able to stop you earlier.
But
let me move on to the economy.
Unselect, remember this, the Unselect Committee, these people that were appointed, all Democrats, plus 2 worse than Democrats, that's Crying, Adam Kinzinger, and Liz Cheney, who lost her congressional seat.
Also, where does the crying part come from? Is it like, I mean, certainly not enough for it to be a thing, but he throws this in front of, like, he did this with, like John Boehner, right? There's like a couple of people he throws around the crying thing, and I honestly don't know, was there one moment where Kinzinger was like brought to tears in the hearing?
By more than any person in the history of Congress.
Yeah, percentage, because it's a state with like 400,000 people.
She lost by a number that nobody has ever lost by. You know.
Yeah, 9 human beings means 40%.
Why? Because usually when you have a poll and you're down by like 40 or 50 points, you're smart enough to drop out. She should have dropped out. At least she wouldn't have that moniker.
Before I go to the economy and foreign policy, as long as you brought up this topic, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff, who got a preemptive pardon, all these people that got pardoned, Anthony Fauci, did he know that NIH money through the EcoHealth Alliance was funding the Wuhan virology lab? There seems to be text and messages and emails that went back and forth. Do we do that too? Hold on. Let's see. We're in so much stuff.
Was a natural virus, while at the same time, behind the scenes in emails, he was having discussions about whether this might have been genetically manipulated. Does that shock you?
Well, he was dealing with them, certainly, and my thing was a little bit different. I just wanted to stop it. Whether it developed one way or the other, I just wanted to stop it.
But it's important to know where it came from.
Yeah, I think so. So why would you run interference for China this late in the game?
Extremely important to know how it developed.
Fauci was dealing with them, and
I don't really know much about it. I mean, I take him at his word.
I guess
maybe.
They were even making payments for certain kinds of research, and I ended that too. I stopped that when we found out about that. He was doing that during the Obama years, and when I found out about it, I said, can you imagine that the United States is making payments to a Chinese lab?
If you haven't seen this video before, I want you to brace yourself, and anybody who has seen it before, enjoy for a moment the shock and awe that some of the assholes who still support this dickhead will experience when they see this for the first time.
So just that on its face didn't make sense, but I stopped that.
The Obama administration did hit pause on gain-of-function research, though, and that was lifted under your watch. Why did you allow the gain-of-function research to continue?
Well, I think probably people that worked for me looked at it, and at one point they might have done that. But ultimately, what we did was we shut it off. We shut the whole thing off, and we stopped making payments that were approved much earlier than our administration.
Yeah, security payments on a lab that they allowed the gain of function to continue, but which is just all they need is permission. They don't need money to do it. And then he cut the funding for the security for the lab that we and other countries were making sure was solid up until that point. And it's weird that just shortly after that happened, a virus broke out of there. Just weird. So, chat room, I think that about covers it. Anybody? All right. So, anyways, back to this dude lying. We're almost done with this, by the way. I know I'm going long, but I love you guys.
You talk about the unselect committee, as you call it, the January 6th committee. They had a predetermined outcome.
That's because they knew you were guilty. They had it on video.
General Milley, all these people, the Biden family members. Joe Biden ran and said he would never do preemptive pardons. It was an issue that came up when you were leaving in your first time.
He thought, he heard that I was going to do it. I didn't want to do it. I was given the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything.
He sold pardons.
Wrong. And we had people that suffered. They're incredible patriots. We had people that suffered.
Like who? Oh, Rudy. Oh, wait, you don't give a fuck about Rudy?
You had Bannon put in jail. You had Peter Navarro put in jail.
And now look at him. He's got a great place right next to you in the Oval Office, and he and Elon Musk are getting along. Oh, wait.
You had people.
He's literally been banished from the White House by Elon Musk, and you don't have any contact with him anymore because of this.
That suffered. And far worse than that, they've lost their fortunes. They've lost their nest egg, paying it to lawyers. And those people.
Yeah, that's why the preemptive pardons, because you thought you would try to do some sort of retribution. And even though you wouldn't be able to find these people guilty, you would still be able to make their life hell.
And people said, and they wouldn't have even taken, most of those people, they wouldn't have even taken.
Most of them?
A pardon. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon.
Yeah, the president can't do it, but he doesn't need one because he's president, and thanks to your Supreme Court, everything's legal.
And if you look at it, it all had to do with him. I mean, the money went to him.
Should Congress investigate that?
Well, I don't know. It's, you know,
This is the same shit as the Hillary stuff. Like, she's got to go to lock her up. And then when he gets in, like, well.
I've always been, look, he didn't give himself a pardon. And he didn't.
Because he didn't need one.
Give some other people a pardon that needed it. And I heard Schiff went to him and just begged him for a pardon because Schiff is a crook. Yeah. Schiff is a crooked guy. He's a crooked politician. He made up the story about Russia. He totally made it up. You know, he's a storyteller.
No, he didn't.
And then after
by the way, he's still grinding over the Schiff paraphrasing him using gangster language because that's exactly what he meant to say.
He made it up. They found out that there was a tape of the conversation made by, you know, I guess the State Department. I don't know. When you make calls, they make tapes sometimes, not all the time.
He
but
was
sometimes.
the one.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the paraphrase where basically like it's like if somebody was making the point about, like, you know, it's an awfully nice business you got here. It'd be a shame if somebody set fire to it, right? Nobody's quoting you. They're interpreting what you're saying and pointing out that this is gang language.
Talking to the Russians.
So he, in the meantime, made up the conversation, totally made it up about quid pro quo. There was no quid pro quo, just there was a perfect call. Tim Scott was the first one to come. He read it. He said, this is a perfect call.
You managed to say all the illegal stuff in a way that isn't illegal, and then just let Rudy go over there and say all the illegal shit.
What are you doing? You're impeaching a man for a perfect call. It was Schiff.
Again, still grinding over this shit years later.
Schiff, Hillary, the whole group. You know what? They should. Schiff is just a bad, sick guy. And he went to Biden and he demanded a pardon. because he thought he did something. He knew he
Benny
did
Thompson
something.
won the chairman of that committee.
Benny Thompson destroyed,
Because you're going to go after them.
along with that unselect committee, destroyed all of the work that took place over 2 years. You know why? It showed that I was right.
We are back with the 45th and 47th of White House, Oval Office. These people that were sentenced for January 6th.
No, totally.
You did. The only criticism or pushback I've seen is about people that were convicted or were involved in incidents where they were violent with police.
Yeah, but they had to be released. They were Antifa dressed as maggots, and he secretly wants them free.
Why did they get a pardon?
A number of reasons. Number one, they were in there for 3.5 years, a long time.
Right.
And in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's.
Hold on. They're only in solitary confinement because they spit in the face of cops and were violent. What happened? Hold on. It says, oh my gosh. Thank you, Chandra. Thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you so much.
Never been treated so badly.
Oh, so badly.
They were treated like the
food in this place is horrible. I know, in such small portions.
worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote.
No, they were beating cops. There are a lot of people protesting the vote. They never set foot on the fucking Capitol grounds.
Because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote.
And they decided, you know what? What really says protest better than beating a cop and taking a shit in the rotunda and stealing a laptop and selling it to the fucking Russians? You know, that's what a true patriot would do.
And that you should be allowed to protest a vote. You should be allowed to. You know, when the day comes,
you shouldn't be able to invade the Capitol.
No, ready?
Yeah, this is the part where Sean Hannity, I guess, is pushing back on this idea that this is not how you solve these kind of problems.
Most of the people were absolutely innocent. Okay, but
no, they weren't. First of all, most of the people weren't absolutely innocent, period. They charged into the place. They did all kinds of rank shit. They stepped over the bodies and blood of other people to get in the building. So fuck you, no. And of the people that were arrested, an even smaller group went to jail.
Getting all about that, these people have served horribly a long time. It would be very, very cumbersome to go and look. You know how many people we're talking about? 1,500 people. Almost all of them should not have been. This should not have happened.
Yeah, I agree. They shouldn't have beat cops and tased them and pepper sprayed them in the eyes and brought a battering ram up the fucking steps.
And the other thing is this: some of those people with the police, true, but they were very minor incidents. Okay, you know, they get built up by that. A couple of fake guys that are on CNN all the time.
Nobody watches.
They were very minor incidents.
Yeah. Yeah, of course they're minor incidents. Cops got beaten. I mean, come on. It's just a cop getting beat up by a bunch of maggots from Tennessee. You know, it's a little thing. Cops are little things to Donald Trump. Law and order.
And it was time. You have murderers in Philadelphia. You have murderers in Los Angeles that don't even get any time. They don't even collect them, and they know they're there to be collected.
They're being, I'm sorry, are they waiting out by the curb on garbage day?
And then they go on television and act.
Is there a murderer collector?
Act totally.
I guess that would be Dexter.
Than thou about this one or that one. You had 1,500 people that suffered. That's a lot of people. Do you know, they were looking for new people 2 weeks ago. They were looking, wait a minute, they were looking to charge new people. They have a woman who's 76 years old that they said made a statement that was a little bit out of line.
Yeah, nobody's ever getting arrested for making a statement that's a little out of line.
Years after the fact.
Nope, not happening. No one made a statement that was slightly out of line and is arrested years later. Not anywhere, not anyone. This is goofy bullshit. You're full of shit. This is just garbage. Sean Hannity, you are a weak, pathetic, tiny little man to not be able to push back on this at all. This is so simple, and much like the person sitting across from you.
This was a political hoax. And you know what?
A hoax. So these people didn't do this. This is all CGI.
Those people, and I'm not saying in every single case,
but I didn't care, because in the cases where they were violent and terrible and vicious and probably Antifa, Black Lives Matter, dressed up as maggots, you know, they went undercover for years, getting type 2 diabetes and growing their neck beards out.
But there was a lot of patriotism with those people. A lot of patriotism. You know, they did a recording.
Oh, the fucking song.
And, you know, they asked me if I'd do the voiceover, and I did. Do you know it was the #1 selling, whatever you call it nowadays, album, whatever, song?
CD?
Whatever you call it. You don't know. It changes every year, right? But
no, it doesn't. Single is the word.
But it was the #1 selling song.
Downloaded.
#1 on Billboard, #1 on everything for so long. People get it. They wanted to see those people.
American people were aware. You told them what you would do. They voted for Joe Biden said he would not do it. Let me move on to the economy.
Right. So that's the idea, is that you told the American people you were going to do this. They voted for you. So the American people are for this. Never mind the 75.6 million people who voted against you, you know, and a margin of 2 million votes between the two of you. The American people are 100% behind letting people who beat up cops out of jail.
It was so important. It was such a big input. Yeah.
I was very clear about it.
Very clear.
I said I was going to release him, and probably.
No, he wasn't. He was all over the fucking map about it. And he said he was going to look at it very carefully. And there was a lot of people believed he was actually going to be choosy about some of it, that the majority of them might get kicked out, but.
Probably very quickly. And they voted for me, and I won in a landslide. And
you didn't win in a landslide. The margin was 2 million out of 140, 150 million.
That was only one of the many reasons.
Joe said he would not do preemptive pardons back in 2020. Chuck Schumer said it. Schiff said it. They all said it. The media said it.
The precedent that he set on pardons.
Yeah, but they were expecting that a normal person would get elected.
Pardons is amazing. That's a much bigger story, but people don't like talking about it. He pardoned everybody.
Yeah, so you couldn't try them, not because they were guilty.
But he didn't pardon himself. And remember this, those people that he pardoned are now mandated, because they got a pardon, to testify, and they can't take the fifth.
Should Congress investigate that?
I think we'll let Congress decide.
Would you want the Attorney General to investigate?
That's leadership.
You know, I was always against that with presidents. And
by the way, he knows they don't have the votes in the House or the Senate to move through with this. So that's why he can shelve it off on them and act like a tough guy. It's the same thing as like getting rid of birthright citizenship. He knows the courts will kill it, but he can, send it up as a racist signal flare to the Stephen Miller clique.
Hillary Clinton. I could have had Hillary Clinton a big number done on her.
Have you changed your mind?
And I didn't want to. Well, I went through 4 years of hell by this scum that we had to deal with.
But Sean, are you just trying to grind him down till he just flips out and makes a phone call?
I went through 4 years of hell.
Yeah, but that smell's never going to leave you. It's in the suit. It's in your diaper. It's always there. I mean, no one taught you to bathe properly, I think, was probably the issue.
I spent millions of dollars in legal fees, and I won. But I did it.
No, you didn't. You ran out the clock.
The hard way.
And you lost. You lost in New York. You lost to E. Jean Carroll. You would have lost these other ones, but you ran out the clock because Merrick Garland was too easy on you.
It's really hard to say that they shouldn't have to go through it also. It is very hard to say that.
We'll say it anyways.
Joe Biden, remember this. Joe Biden got very bad advice because, like he has in everything.
Hunter's laptop.
He got bad advice on Ukraine.
There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Feel free to at me.
Bad advice that war should have never started. He got bad advice on Israel.
Wait, sorry. He got bad advice that war should have never started? What was the bad advice? Just let Russia win right away? Don't try to stop them?
He got bad advice on the way he got out of Afghanistan.
Oh, you didn't give him your big, beautiful plan? You just withheld it? You had one, right?
We should have gotten out with strength and dignity, not...
Right? And what did that look like? What was the plan?
Not like a bunch of losers. Joe Biden has very bad advisors. Somebody advised Joe Biden.
And he ended up with the longest stretch of below 4% unemployment in the nation's history since whatever, in the last 60, 70 years anyways. And the quickest wage growth. And he passed an infrastructure bill. You weren't able to do that. The Chips and Science Act, which basically almost single-handedly set China back 10 years. The rescue plan, which salvaged the American economy. And everybody's vaccinated and everybody went back to business so fast that we had supply shock because we were the fastest growing economy while everybody else was, running to catch up.
To give pardons to everybody but him. They wanted to take care of. Yeah, but Sean, they wanted to. I don't care.
They're yelling at me.
This is more important because right now the economy is going to do great.
I want to know about
I'm
the
here,
economy.
so the economy. But you have to understand, he had bad advisors on almost everything.
The Trump's advisors are standing over there like telling Sean to have him move on from this. It's bad news.
It's like in the old days when the Secretary of State said he never made a correct decision on foreign policy. Joe Biden got.
Oh, you mean the guy that was for the surge in Afghanistan, which made the situation worse and made it harder for us to get out?
Very bad advice.
You've been through, you had two would-be assassins. You came within a millimeter of losing your life in this whole process. I know you kind of are somebody that compartmentalizes because I've known you so long.
Yes, sociopath is the word you're looking for.
But do you ever think, and you said this in your inaugural, that you really believe God saved your life so that this was your destiny? Explain that.
Well, I do believe that. I've had people that really know a lot
God stuff
about guns, and they
people who know a lot about guns. This is a shot that would have been easy to make or whatever if somebody hadn't spotted him and he had to rush his shot, and if he hadn't rolled over just as he was firing, if he'd had time to lay it down, it would have been really easy. But again, it's like a 2-foot putt if someone was pulling a gun on you while you were making it.
that gun, that particular gun, in that beautiful field, as I called it, in Pennsylvania, which it is, Butler, that gun's a very accurate gun, and that
As opposed to the other guns.
a bad shooter would hit the target 100% of the time.
You can't
Not while they're being fired upon.
miss.
Okay, from that distance. Yeah, from that distance.
Yeah, you can. How about this, Sean? Tell you what. You line up your shot. You don't even get to line up your shot. You get to peek at your shot once. Then, as you pull your gun up, a police officer with a firearm raises up to your right, and then there are two guys that are going to kill you the second you fire. So tell me how you'd hit that shot every fucking time.
I mean, to me, I don't know as much about it. They said it's like for a golfer sinking a 1-foot putt.
Yes, if all the other golfers were trying to kill you with their clubs at the same time.
From that distance.
Right, if someone was shooting at you while you were trying to golf.
And my son Don and my son, both of them, Eric, they're great shooters. Both of them are great shooters.
Yeah, especially if it's a leopard that's been staked to a tree, or an animal near the only watering hole for 100 miles that's emaciated and tired. And
they said it's amazing, it's a miracle. I think it affected them because they can't believe that happened. I turned. If I didn't turn, when the turn was like split-second perfect timing. So something happened, and I don't think you can call it just luck. The chance was like 1/8 of a second.
Yeah, but it could have gone the other direction as well. Just because you were like looking forward, the timing would have. That means the cop that was after him would have come up earlier or later or what have you.
Or we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah, if God wanted to save you without this or whatever, Mr. There is no nick on your ear, why didn't he give the guy a flat tire on the way to Butler?
Think of it.
That way, Corey Comparator wouldn't have had to die. Apparently, God wanted to clip your ear and kill a fireman. That was his goal for the day.
In a volume of time, 1/8 of a second.
Yeah, you'd think Comparator would have gotten out of the way, wouldn't you?
I was in the right position.
And Corey wasn't. Fuck you.
Do Do you believe that moment? People say to me,
I don't even like Cory Comparator as a human being. He didn't deserve that, though. Just gross. And the idea that it's okay.
they see a change in you. Do you believe you've changed? Is this, for example, increased your faith in God?
Yes.
Yes, totally has. I've got more in my faith tank than I ever have. I even have started holding the Bible right side up. I haven't read it, but
I think so. I don't think I've changed, but I think that has taken place, yeah.
I haven't changed, but that major change happened. I found Jesus like a lot of rapists in jail, but I mean, I know where he is. I just don't go there. I found Jesus, and then I went, oh, there he is, and then I just walked back the other way.
Because when you look at statistically, I should never be here. I mean,
I agree. Statistics are not.
If I don't turn I'm looking at an immigration chart, my favorite chart ever in history.
Yeah, the one that showed that you left office in April of 2020, which is metaphorically true, but not materially true.
Even if the numbers were bad, I would.
I mean, we're talking about assassination, and you're telling jokes.
No, can you
but it's
believe it?
terrible.
No,
I remember that day like
when I turned, and it had to be at an exactly 90-degree angle, and I said,
it wasn't exactly at a 90-degree angle.
throw down the chart or something to that effect.
Yeah, that'd be about a 70-degree.
And they bring the chart, and I'm literally looking exactly at the right angle. I couldn't have even been a little further or a little bit less.
So God really had it out for Cory Comparator, is what you're saying. Dude never had a fucking chance.
It would have whacked, because it was an eighth of an inch. The entire ride was an eighth of an inch.
Will you investigate these assassination attempts? And you stated that you will release the files, all of the files, as it relates to the JFK assassination. And by the way, this is his desk.
Yeah, that's right.
This is where
That's
John
right.
Kennedy, little
That's
John
a
Kennedy.
movable door.
Yeah.
It's a little
amazing.
door there. That's where John was.
John, yeah. And RFK, and also Martin Luther King Jr., and that you...
And Epstein. Why are you leaving that off, Sean? What about the Epstein? Yeah, what about Epstein? And Epstein files, right? And that was...
Be transparent.
About the Epstein files, right?
This was going to happen in the first
So many
term.
people have asked me to do that.
Yeah, especially the Epstein files.
And I did it with Kennedy to an extent.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it with Epstein to an extent.
But I was asked by some of our government officials not to.
Some of our government officials? You mean the deep state?
And, you have to respect them. I was actually asked by
You do?
Mike Pompeo, who was Secretary of State, not to.
He just asked you not to? Why, was he involved? Did he give you a reason?
And I felt he knew something that maybe, when he asks you not to, you sort of say, why?
You sort of do, especially when you're the president of the United States and you can actually look if you want.
And he felt that it was just not a good time to release him.
As opposed to?
And you might ask him why. Maybe he'll deny that.
No, I might not, because I'm not the president of the United States yet. But I'll be sure to ask him when I am.
Even, but he did. He asked me, and some others also. Though they didn't want the Kennedy stuff released, and they're professionals, and I respect them, and they're working for me and the country. They're working for the country, and so I didn't release. But I'm going to release them immediately.
Well, you're well past immediately, right?
Upon getting, we're going to see the information. We're looking at it right now.
I'm going to release it immediately after I see what I'm releasing.
More Hannity from the White House as we continue.
Okay, that was the tail end of that thing. We made it. I guess he gets to do Hannity gets to do the rest of the show from the cook's quarters, I guess. Whew. Well, we made it through both of those. I'm very impressed, both with you and with myself. We tomorrow morning, regular show with our dear friend Rob Glenn, Friday Eye, opening up the morning with the politics of the day, and then, of course, a kind of what the fuck is going on, what the fuck is that for AI segment because of all the stuff that's happening with Sam Altman and all that around the presidency. You're going to need to know how it, and then some practical application stuff because that's fun and makes it less scary because I'm doing you a favor. And then tomorrow's, I think what'll happen is, and this is probably the best way to go. I think what I'm going to do, if I do the show from here tomorrow morning and then I drive to LA right after, just to save myself the grief, that means I'm doing, I'll do the quick turnaround again, which is fine. So I drive in. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to drive in tomorrow afternoon. My afternoon show will be late. I apologize. And then I got to drive down to Irvine, do the show, and then I'm done earlier, so I'll just drive back that. I think that's how I'm going to do it. If I leave tonight, that'll slightly change, and then just the afternoon show will be at the regular time. That's the only thing that will change tomorrow. That said, starting either this Saturday or the Saturday after that, along with all the places I broadcast, the Sexy Liberal Substack for Political Voices Network will be carrying my Saturday show on their stream. And I believe we're going to start up on the Minneapolis station as well. So I'm hoping to get some traffic from that station, get people maybe coming into the chat room, asking questions and joining that, our group here, as well as, and I think, let's see, let me see if I think we might actually be up on there too. I got to check. But I'm fairly certain we're up on Rumble, are we? We should be live on there. Let's see. Accounts on my channel. My content. Hold on. Here. My content. Is it up there? Yeah. Yeah, I think we've been live this whole time there. Excellent. Super. So even on that stupid place. So by the way, and I want to say to all the Rumbles out there that are pro-Trump and all that stuff. I'm sure there's some people who like, I don't know, power slap or something that are on our side of the aisle that maybe finds the show that way. But at the very least, I really want the maggots that are over there to see what I'm talking about. How get a cardio echo Doppler, man? You aren't 25 anymore, even though you haven't entered puberty. That's lovely. My voice is far too deep. You're thinking of Ben Shapiro or anybody on the right, really. I don't know what it is, but guys on the right all are still waiting for their balls to drop. I don't know if it's an Andrew Tate thing or what, but either way, I got a Substack. We got all these channels, and follow me on Blue Sky, and Venmo's a great way to support the show, and that's it. 48-hour days are going to kill me. No, I take good care of myself. Don't worry. I mean, I make up for it. Don't worry. I'm aware of my limitations in that regard. I'm not burning the candle at both ends and trying to light the middle that much. But I appreciate you caring. Just saying. Yeah. And I don't have to leave like right now. I had a great night's sleep last night, and I will tonight, regardless of how this goes, because I don't have to get up particularly early. And yeah. So tomorrow's just a full day of stuff. So it's probably better if I leave after. I'm just saying. And then I just have like a 12-hour runaround, which is nothing. Half the time's in the car. So what? But that said, people are, what's funny is I'm getting all these follow messages on Substack, which is really lovely. So now I'm going to have to post there. Shit. You know what I could do? I'll just write stories about the kidney and people will.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
I see. It's halsparks.substack.com, I think is the URL, if I'm not mistaken. See you tomorrow.